Are we live? Great. I'm hearing myself, but delayed, so I think we're live. Um, there is no. I do not know how to change the title. It'll be okay. Monica will fix everything. Just the way that I'm doing everything tech related is just waiting for Monica to fix everything. But also, I'm pretty sure the chat box is not working, and I can't figure out how to get it working. So we might just not have chat. Oh no, there we go. It is working. Okay, cool. I don't know what I did wrong, but sure. Whatever. I feel like I need an adult to tell me whether or not I can start playing. Holy shit. Monica showed up. It's time. It's it's gaming time. I'm real excited to probably mess this whole run up. It'll be chill. Okay, I've been given the go ahead. So, alright, here we go. Uh, let's get started. Hopefully, this doesn't go completely off the rails. I'm anticipating that it might. Alright. 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so this is Super Mario Galaxy 2. Welcome back to the Sissant Marathon 2, 2 Sissant 2 Furious 2 Electric Boogaloo. I'm Eden 2. Just kidding, I'm not Eden. and this is Super Mario Galaxy 2. So this game is the sequel to the first Mario Galaxy game, and despite adding 1 to the title, it adds 10 to the required star count. So in the first game there were 120 stars, but you only needed to collect 60 of them, and in this game there are 120 stars, and you need to collect 70 of them. Now, that is one of the nice things about that is that it's still pretty significant amount less than the actual number you need to collect, or the actual number that's in the game. So there's a lot of routing options available for this run, and a big part of playing this game is kind of determining which route is fastest with the stars that you can and can't do. So there we got the spin, the main mechanic of this game. Mario's basic toolkit is not quite as advanced as some of the other games like 64 and Sunshine, but he has a spin which doubles as a movement as well as an attack. So you might have noticed already that there's some pretty apparent text differences. This game is not optimal in the English version, and this is not Japanese. For a while, it was thought that the Japanese version was the fastest because it's available on Wii U Virtual Console, which means it has the fastest loads, and it also has faster text due to being in Japanese. But after some timing, it was discovered that the official Chinese version is actually marginally faster, so that's the version I'm playing on. It only saves a few seconds over the Japanese version, but it's pretty interesting that it even saves any time at all, considering it's not available on Virtual Console, whereas the Japanese version is. There is a text box skip right here that I'm going to go for. There are 5 text boxes here. If I lose a few frames on the first 2 and then hit the third one on the first possible frame, I can skip the 4th and 5th. I didn't skip the 4th and 5th, but I did skip one of them, so that's pretty good. That actually does save a pretty significant amount of time. It's like the big time saver in Prologue. Alright, so now we finally, 2.5 minutes into the run, get to play the first level of the game. This is Sky Station 1, and this level actually is one of the most technical in the whole of the first world here. So I'm going to be trying to catch a pretty obnoxious cycle in this level. So basically, the way that the cycles work is that when they're off screen, they don't move. So the cycles in this level are very determined by the camera and whether or not the camera's on screen. So here I'm gonna... okay, hello. Here I'm going to turn the camera while I'm waiting for this launch star animation to happen so that I can manipulate the position of the cycles on the next planet. And part of the difficulty of this level is actually figuring out how to move to get the cycles you want. Nice bonk, that's fine. Here's the first comet medal of the run. There's one of these in each galaxy. Bonking that fence saves a few frames, by the way. Nobody does that, but it saves time. It's technically faster. That's the first comet medal. Comet medals are kind of the other collectible of this run. There's one per galaxy. And we're going to be seeing a lot of those collected as we move throughout the different galaxies because they unlock levels, and the levels they unlock are usually fast. So this is the first boss. Pee-wee Piranha. It teaches you to use the spin mechanic, so we're gonna not use the spin mechanic at all. By ground pounding, you can actually break the shell off of his butt faster than you would normally be able to if you just spun, because normally it takes multiple spins to break it off, whereas with ground pounding you can get it off instantly. So that was the first level. We only have 70 more, so surely it will be fine. So one thing that's actually pretty interesting about the specific thing that I'm doing is that there are a number of viable routes for this run. There's maybe like 10 or so that are actually used by different people in the community, and the route that I do, nobody else uses. So you get to watch me do a completely bespoke, unique route that literally only I do. And I'll explain, if you watch for like 2 hours of this run, I'll explain why the route I do is unique. Because it's a level like way in like World 4 that makes it unique. So you can see that the text is super fast. Even the English version of the game, the text still scrolls faster than that version. And something about this game that nobody likes is the way you advance text optimally. In order to make it scroll faster, you have to hold the A button, but the A button is also the only button that will actually advance text boxes. So in order to clear text in this game, you have to hold A and then let go and hit it, quickly repress it again to actually close the text box. Also, that's the first of many backflips onto the starship button that you're gonna see. I pretty much always do that because it's slightly faster than walking. And there was actually like a small, I don't know if it's a glitch, it's kind of an oversight. You can hold down and Mario will turn down between the text boxes there, which is something that is kind of present in the Galaxy games just in general. You can move like between text boxes, but it's not necessarily always intended. So this is the first level where we get to see Yoshi, the aptly named Yoshi Star Galaxy. And if you don't know anything about this game, Yoshi is very broken. Yoshi is probably the most powerful thing in this game, and it's not because he gets power-ups, even though he does. Yoshi has a flutter jump, which gives you a little bit of extra height and distance in the air if you hold the A button. But if you hold the A button and then cancel the flutter jump by crouching, Yoshi can flutter again in midair. And so, for all intents and purposes, Yoshi has an infinite flutter jump and can basically fly, which makes the 3D platformer a little less challenging. So you can see that I'm doing that right here to hello. I'm doing repeated flutter jumps in order to cross gaps, and then I'm going to try to skip a good portion of this level. Okay, cool. That's a good start. So, that is another important aspect of infinite fluttering, which is that in order to do it, you need to keep your rhythm of fluttering and crouching and alternating those two moves, while also not staying in the air for too long. Otherwise, you will lose your speed, and the flutter won't work properly. So I'm gonna try this again. Okay, there we go. So that skip only saves about 20 seconds, but there are a lot of much more significant infinite flutter skips that are going to be showcased later in the run. Basically, the reason that Trick is challenging is because jumping off Yoshi at the last minute is something you have to time pretty well. If you jump off too early, you won't make it in time, but if you jump off too late, you'll lose all your speed, which is what happened the first time, because you've been in the air for too long. And Yoshi being in the air for too long is not good. He loses all of his speed. So, infinite fluttering is kind of something you have to learn and get good at in order to be able to play consistently in this game, because of how challenging it is to maintain good infinite fluttering and also control your speed, which is an extremely underratedly difficult aspect of running this game. It's just generally managing your speed, but especially when you're on Yoshi, it's pretty challenging. Alright, so Yoshi Star 2 is another example of why infinite fluttering is so powerful. This entire level can be skipped with a single infinite flutter from the very beginning of the game. So this is a theme you're going to see throughout the run, which is that we're going to be hopping on Yoshi and immediately just taking flight into the sky and fluttering across huge gaps, which is, depending on the level, can either be a short skip or can be like totally break the intended progression. In this case, because I can skip the whole level, this level becomes very fast, even though ordinarily it's not super fast. So I'm gonna flutter all the way to the planet that has the boss, and this is the boss. There's a boss in this level. It's a big Lakitu that throws things at you. So part of the intrigue of this boss fight is the fact that it operates in cycles that can be skipped if you do the cycles correctly. So the boss is actually, when you hit the boss, it tries to despawn all of the spinies that it's thrown at you. But if you time it just right, you can actually eat a spiny while your other spiny is hitting the boss, like I just did there. Awesome. I did not get that a single time in practice, so I'm actually kind of surprised that I got it during the run. And then, if I time that properly, I can hit the boss right as soon as it becomes vulnerable. If I had fired that spiny a little bit too early, it would have just broken on his face. But because of that, I can do that and then finish level very quickly. So that was a good Yoshi start too. I'm happy with that. So that is kind of the primary example of a Galaxy 2 level, which is that you have major sequence breaks and then like tiny little ways to speed up things that are not intended to be done faster. So there are a lot of different ways that you can make that make levels like that faster, even if they're not necessarily intended to be done quicker. Leva there just explained that you can have a friend join in if you have two Wii remotes, which I do. You might have noticed there's two cursors on the screen. There's a blue one and an orange one. The orange one controls the orange guy who's following me, the co-star Luma, also known as the useless orange guy, because he never does his job. And if you play this game with two controllers, you can access a very small amount of additional optimizations. In Galaxy 1, you get a extremely broken mid-air jump. In this game, you get an orange dude that never does what you want him to. So, Galaxy 1 is the superior game. I will hear no arguments about this. Anyway, this is Spin Dig. This level introduces the Spin Drill, which nerfs your entire moveset to give you the ability to drill through planets that you can jump around. The reason why I've picked up the Spin Drill here is because I need to use it to drill through these dirt spire things. There's the Comet Medal. So, as you can see, it's often actually worth it to go out of your way to get the Comet Medal in a level. And there, if I use my momentum properly, I can actually drill through the planet and end up on the top of that structure, even though you're not really supposed to be able to do that. You're supposed to drill through multiple times. There I went into first person so that I could shake without drilling back through the planet, which is sometimes something that... It's a thing that's happened to me before, so I do that just to make sure. And as you saw on the first planet, as you're going to see here again, I can skip sections where you're intended to use the spin drill by just jumping. So here, if you go into first person, as soon as you land here, Captain Toad, who's meant to talk to you, doesn't talk to you right away, and then you can put him in an animation to cancel him talking to you until you get far enough away that he won't talk to you anymore. Alright, this is Dig-a-Leg. 15 minutes into the run, you encounter one of the only random elements of a Super Mario Galaxy 2 speedrun, which is this boss fight. He has a 50-50 chance to jump either direction, so he spawns enemies and then starts jumping around the planet. I want Dig-a-Leg to jump on top of Mario here. Good, that's good luck. So you want to see that happen twice, once in the first phase and once in the second phase, which means that this fight is like 25% to go the way you want it to, so that's cool. And this is actually like a pretty significant amount of time save because it cancels the entire phase of the fight where Diglett is hopping around on this planet. Also, another thing that I am trying to do is keep these enemies alive, because if the enemies are alive, Diglett will not spawn additional enemies, which cuts out the animation and the extra time of him spawning the enemies. So that was actually like near perfect fight with pretty much perfect luck. So that was good. I'm happy with that. So that level is really frustrating because if you're on a good run and you get bad RNG, it sucks. And if you're on a bad run and you get bad RNG, it sucks. And then if you're on a bad run and you get good RNG, it also sucks because it's like, well, what's the point? Why even bother? Another thing that you might notice happens a lot is that the game really likes to put you on different places of a Starship Mario whenever you return back to it after completing a level. And part of the routing challenge of this game is optimizing this such that there's minimal movement on Starship Mario when you spawn onto it after completing levels. So certain objectives and milestones in the game teleport you around. You can stack them on top of each other so that there's minimal movement between levels. Okay, Right Side Down 1 is a level entirely focused on the gimmick of these gravity fields that when you enter them, they cause you to have a certain gravity. So you can see that the arrows point in the direction that the gravity is going to be moving. This level is a 2D platforming level, and it's entirely movement. There's like no no boss fights, no enemies you have to kill, nothing. It's just movement. So here, hopefully, I will maintain. Nope. Okay. I will make this jump. Nice. That's actually kind of tight. And if you fail it, you bonk the question block and die. There I can time a jump off that slope to get additional speed. And then here I'm going to try to skip this section's gimmick by just jumping. You're meant to go flip a lever to reverse the gravity, but you don't need to reverse the gravity. It's almost never necessary in these levels. You don't need to engage with the intended gimmick basically at all. And you get the Fire Flower you can use to burn these crates. And with the Fire Flower you can also shoot fireballs really fast if you mash the crouch button while shooting. Also there I went under the crate, which is not too difficult to do, but sometimes kills you for no reason because this game has extremely unfair crushing physics. Basically, the walls that crush you don't need to be moving towards one another, so if something is moving away from you, it can still crush you, as long as they're the correct distance apart. That was a good Right Side Down 1. That was actually pretty solid, except for the beginning. So, that level is really difficult to recover from mistakes, because if you don't have your flow, it's challenging to keep going. Also, another thing that you might have seen me do is that I'm shooting out all the star bits that I collect. And the reason why I'm doing that is because we have access to the Bank Toad, which is the in-game intended method of transferring star bits in between save files. And because of that, I don't need to collect any star bits. And whenever you collect star bits and take them out of a level, you get an additional text box telling you collected a certain number of star bits. So I'm intentionally shooting them out in order to avoid that text box at the end of the level. This level is a Fire Flower gimmick level that I could not beat as a kid. This was one of the last stars in the whole game that I beat when I was a kid. You're meant to burn all of these crates, and the how good you do is determined by how many seconds you have left on the in-game timer. So I'm looking at the in-game timer to kind of tell me how fast I go in this level. 13, okay. If you have a good execution, you can get a 14, and if you're like not me, you can get a 15. But 13 is still pretty good. Sometimes if I go, I cannot miss any of the crates, but I'll go slow enough to get a 12, which is always annoying when it happens to me. Alright, so now we're going to be moving on to Fluffy Bluff's secret, which is the first secret star. And also, no, that was the first secret star. But Fluffy Bluff Secret is another secret star. It's the first one that involves a Hungry Luma. So in the original Mario Galaxy, Hungry Lumas were introduced as a mechanic that helps you learn how to collect star bits in levels. In this game, they're kind of in a nice little design digression from the original. Hungry Lumas that are outside of levels, so on the world map, those require star bits. But ones that are inside of levels require coins. So there are a couple levels in this run during which I will be collecting coins to feed Hungry Lumas, which are going to be unlocking additional stars for me. So in this level, I need 100 coins, so I can use the useless orange guy to pick up some coins for me. And I need to go into this little pipe sub-area thing to do this mini game to pick up, I think it's 60 coins in here. It's a lot. It's pretty much impossible to actually complete the coin requirements without doing this, so you need a lot of coins. And you also see that I picked up the Cloud Flower, which is the most broken power-up in Mario history. It lets you just generate platforms in the air wherever you want. And that has myriad uses. You're going to see a lot of that throughout the run. So one thing that's annoying about using the useless orange guy to pick up coins is that you don't actually get the coins until they land on you. So if you pick up a coin and then talk to the Luma before you've picked it up, he goes, no, you don't have enough coins, because it hasn't, you haven't let go of the A button and had to drop the coin on your head. So this part is pure platforming, just using the Cloud Mushroom, or Cloud Flower to get up here. I'm doing a tech here called Cloud Canceling, where I'm hitting the Z button, or some people say the Z button, right as the clouds form, which causes Mario to duck and cancels out the animation of him bouncing up in the air and then landing back on the cloud, because the expanding hitbox of the cloud underneath Mario actually gives him a little bit of upwards momentum. So if you cancel it properly, you will not allow that upwards momentum to lose you time. However, if you cancel that momentum improperly, you will either lose a little bit of time to the cloud animation, which is not so bad, or you will spin and ground pound on the same frame, which causes you to ground pound out of pretty much every action and fall into the void and die. That particular section has ground below Mario, but a lot of the time when we're platforming with the Cloud Mushroom or Cloud Flower, there will not be ground below Mario, and this is one example of that. So this level, I'm going to be skipping pretty much all of it by just using the Cloud Flower, the Cloud Platforms from the Cloud Flower to just jump directly to the last planet. And I'm actually going to do a marathon safety thing here. I'm going to grab this checkpoint because the ending movement I do here is probably one of the least marathon safe things I do in this whole run. So if this goes well, it's easy from here. Like, the rest of the run will go well if this goes well. Okay, I missed it, that's fine. I have backup strats. I just need to do this. Nope, okay, awesome. So I'll try it again. I tried there to jump directly to that tree, because the clouds also give you a little bit of momentum when you land on them and jump off again. Okay, nice. That side flip off the slope there, slopes in this game are deadly. If you touch slopes, you pretty much always lose all of your speed and get completely hindered by them. That side flip off of the slope is only possible if you approach the slope at the correct angle and time the side flip with a decently precise but not super hard control stick direction switch. It's not so difficult as to be prohibitively difficult, but it is really obnoxious to fail and extremely risky. And the way I got over there was by using something called Void Speed, which is the phenomenon of jumping or making a cloud and then using the cloud's expanding hitbox to boost your long jump, and also doing it off an edge in order to get additional speed. And if you chain those three things together well and time your inputs precisely, you can get additional speed that allows you to bypass otherwise intended platforming sections by doing boosted long jumps with the Cloudflower. Alright, this is Fiery Flotilla 1. This entire beginning section is on a cycle, so I want to make it on top of this swamp right here before it falls before it rises up. So if I do this precisely, I can cut right in front of that fire bar there, land on the swamp, and then backflip right before it slams down again, which allows me to get up here. And it's actually intended that you can get up here, but it's not intended to do this and skip the entire level. Basically, this planet has a really, really big gravity field because of the boss fight that's located on it. So by just jumping into the gravity field, I can skip the whole thing. Alright, this is Gobblegut. Bowser Jr. has recruited a big dragon to kill you, and those red things are his bellyache bulges, which you're meant to spin. And I'm gonna try to do a quick kill that involves jumping up in the air to hit the red bulges instead of the intended way, which is to up. There's a backup if I miss that one. I can do this. Okay, cool. That didn't work. So this is the intended way. You're supposed to let Gobblegut dig into the ground and then spin the things. Now, I messed up the first phase, which is actually a bad thing because the second phase is way harder. So I hope I get a good second phase, mainly because it would be funny. But I'm going to try to manipulate the way Gobblegut is moving with some pretty precise movement in order to make it so that those bulges are close enough to the ground that I can spin them. Alright, cool. That was literally perfect. So that was a bad first phase, good second phase, and that is way faster than doing this level the intended way. Like, waiting for Gobblegut to do... He takes eons to dig into the ground. And so that is much faster than doing this level the intended way. Also, mid-27 World 1 is actually, like, not terrible, considering I died and lost, like, 15 seconds in the first level, and then also 15 seconds in the level right before that one, and then also, like, 10 to the boss fight. So that's cool. Alright. So, we're already out of World 1, and we won't be going back for a while, which is good, because World 1 is actually one of the hardest parts of the run. And not even necessarily because of, like, resetting and mindset stuff, it's actually just challenging. Like, the execution in World 1 is harder than the execution in World 2, and World 2 is like, after it in the run. So we're gonna be seeing a lot of, interesting levels in World 2, but a lot of them are either easier or more boring than the levels that are in World 1, and there's a couple auto-scrollers as well, unfortunately. But, you know, that's okay. This run has a huge amount of variety, so it can be nice, because if there's a level you don't like, you usually only have to do, like, one of it, but if there's a level you do like, you usually only get to do, like, one of it. Okay, this is Puzzle Plank 1. This is one of my favorite levels in the run. There's a ton of really cool movement in this level. Unfortunately, the music, everybody but me likes. I don't like the music in this level at all, but for whatever reason, everybody else thinks it's peak. Also, these saws, you see the saws? Watch out for the saws. They have ridiculous hitboxes. The hitboxes on the saws are extremely unfair. I don't know if they're unfair. It might just be that they have, like, the perspective is weird, but yeah, the hitboxes on the saws are not great. So, starting off here, I have to hit that button. And then there's a little puzzle you're meant to do where you ground pound these blocks through the planet to give yourself access to the launch star. But you can also just kind of spin and get into the launch star, which is a big way that shortcuts often work in the Galaxy games, which is that, like, you can jump and skip things. And they kind of, like, didn't account for that in a lot of situations. Also, I was supposed to do a triple jump, but triple jumps in this game are bad and they don't work properly sometimes. And then also I was supposed to, like, long jump there, but long jumps in this game are bad and they don't work sometimes. There's a really common place to get hit by a saw. There's another one. It's really easy to get tossed off the edge there by that saw. and now is the most intimidating boss fight in the game, right after we do this slider puzzle here. I don't know why the early game in this run is saturated with so many boss fights. There's like 2 more in World 2 that we're gonna have to do. Yeah, you tell me. That was supposed to be a backflip. So, this planet's weird. It has weird momentum. The Galaxy games do a lot of creative stuff with gravity and planet shapes, but also sometimes they mess with your momentum in ways that are not strictly, they don't strictly feel fair, but you know. So that is the extremely difficult, scary, threatening double stacked Mandibug boss fight, which also exists in Galaxy 1. For some reason, they when they were making this game, they were like, oh yes, we need to make a sequel to Galaxy 2. What should we put in the game? I know, let's put this boss fight that no one remembers from the first game. And then in the secret mission of Puzzle Plank, which we're not going to do because it's slow, there's another recycled boss fight from Galaxy 1, except it's an actual memorable fun boss that they don't have you do the same exact way in this game. Anyway, Hytale Falls 1. This level is entirely based around a Yoshi power-up that is called the Dash Pepper. So basically, it's a pepper that's super spicy, and when Yoshi eats it, he starts running really fast. And so this level is all based around like vertical walls that Yoshi can dash up. And you can do this without the Dash Pepper if you like infinite fluttering, but it takes like 5 minutes. So obviously, run fast thing is pretty good in speedruns. And also, not doing intended stuff in the level is also pretty fun, so we're going to be not doing intended stuff. Shoutouts to the beginning of this level, by the way. Right before the first launch star, there are 2 star bits that are placed directly on top of each other. I'm going to try to collect only those 2 star bits, so you can see that I'll collect 1 and get 2 star bits. It's right up, it's right here. You can see my star bit count went from 1 to 3 because there's 2 star bits right on top of each other there. Also, right after I came out of that launch star, I jumped, and that was because the Dash Pepper ends. So using the very last little bit of the Dash Pepper, I jumped there to conserve a little bit of extra speed. And now here, you're gonna see me do a lot of these double jumps. Every time you double jump like that in this level, when you're running with the Dash Pepper, you sometimes save 1 frame. So, totally worth it. Also, you can skip the entire rest of this level by just infinite fluttering across this gap. This is one of the easiest infinite flutter skips in the whole game. It is literally as easy as it looks. And here I'm going to try to grab this Comet Medal, which is actually really difficult to do without messing up. And then I'm going to use the Slope and a simultaneous dismount from Yoshi with the Dash Pepper speed to launch Mario into the star instead of going around like you're supposed to. That's actually a pretty cool strat, and it's used in like 2 places in the run, and that's the most flashy, like visually appealing place in the run where it's used. So now we get to go from fun, fast-paced, interesting level to slow, boring, not interesting at all level. Coming up next is Cosmic Cove 1, which is not my favorite level in the run. It definitely is interesting from an optimization perspective because of the challenge of collecting enough coins for the secret star. I'm Odyssey brained right now. The secret star that we're going to be coming back to later. But unfortunately, it's just not the most interesting when it comes to like movement because you're going to be doing a lot of swimming. In Galaxy 1, this level would be like an extreme workout, because in Galaxy 1 the fastest way to swim is to continuously spam shake the Wiimote as fast as you can and destroy your arm. But in this game, they added a cooldown on Mario's underwater spinning, so you can't do that anymore. So it becomes just like taking the shell through the level. And wow, this is actually like really bad. I might have to activate the super secret backup coin route that is extremely unfun to do. No, I actually think we're chill. So the main reason I'm collecting the coins in the main level and not the secret level is because I need to go down here to get the Comet Medal. In general, it sequences out slightly better just to do it this way. And then here I'm going to jump out of the water with the shell and then toss it away so I can wall jump up this tower. And hitting this button for whatever reason freezes the whole thing into ice. And before I like finish the level, I'm going to talk to this guy and feed him the 15 coins that I've collected. And now I can just go, and that secret level will still be there when I come back later. So that's nice, is you can unlock the secret levels and they don't go away. And the reason I needed to freeze that is because I need to wall jump up these frozen waterfalls, which sometimes the game just doesn't let you wall jump here, so I'm kind of glad that it did let me wall jump. You can also skip this entire level by doing a underwater swim into a fish, which flings you really, really far up and across the whole level to skip the entire thing. If you're a TAS. So good luck doing that if you're not a TAS, but if you want to watch a TAS, there is a TAS of this level that skips the whole thing by doing that. So that's pretty cool. So before I go back to the world map, I'm going to be stopping by our friend the Bank Toad here to pick up all the star bits I'm going to need for the whole run. You need, I think it's 5,000, but you get 150 from certain random starbit bonuses. So you need like 4,800. I picked up 4,673, which is like totally not enough, but there's a few levels where it's you can collect a lot of starbits, so I'm going to be just kind of getting my starbit count back up by doing it that way. Anyway, this Hungry Luma requests 700 starbits to turn into a level, so we're going to feed them 700 starbits, and you can see why it's so worth it to use the Bank Toad in the run, because feeding those Hungry Lumas would be very slow otherwise. Collecting 700 starbits would be a huge time investment. But this is the fastest level in the game. This is, well, not counting green stars, this is the fastest level in the game. This is a hidden star that's right at the very beginning. The gimmick of this hidden star is you're meant to see it like halfway through the level and realize that you were supposed to get it at the beginning. But by just like literally just knowing it's there, I can do the secret star now. And the reason I'm doing the secret star before the main star in Honeybloom Galaxy here is because it is you get slightly better cycles in the main level. So yeah, that's the star. It's right there. And you can see the back is kind of open. I'm going to point out when I go through that level coming up here for the normal star, I'm going to point out where the secret star is so you can see it in the background. So yeah, 16 seconds. That level is only 16 seconds long. There is an in-game timer in this game, but it doesn't obey the rules of real time, and also only tracks IGT and levels. So we can't use it for any kind of like time loadless RTA timing or something like that. So there's an example of two cutscenes happening at the same time, which I'm pretty sure is like an actual time save, but it might not necessarily be one. But you can see that the game stacked two cutscenes on top of each other, which is going to be something that's going to be pretty fundamental to routing in this category. So Honeybloom 1 is another like extremely movement intensive level. There's a lot of platforming and a lot of skipping the bee mushroom. The bee mushroom lets you float a little bit, and it also lets you stand on these clouds as well as these flowers without them disappearing. If you time a precise jump, you can jump off of them. And if you time a precise buffered side flip, you can side flip off of them, which is pretty cool. I need the bee mushroom here because there's the secret star, by the way. Because these berries disappear if you don't have the bee mushroom, and there's pretty much no way to cross this area without them disappearing. And then here, I'm going to take damage to lose the bee mushroom on purpose because I don't want to keep it. It's a lot faster to platform with just normal Mario here. And then I'm going to shoot... Oh, that's annoying. So what I did there was I tried to shoot some star bits at that Choppa so that it didn't hit Mario. But it did hit Mario, so I got knocked into the bee mushroom. Ordinarily, there I want to skip the bee mushroom and get one that shows up here, but I wasn't able to do that, which is okay. It doesn't lose that much time. And then, please get up. Thank you. This ending section is probably the most difficult movement in the level, and maybe one of the hardest bits of execution in all of World 2. I don't like this ending section at all. It's very easy to get caught on random corners and just lose seconds. And again, shooting starbits at the Choppa so I can fly into him. I actually got a little boost upward off the Choppa, which is not common at all and very rarely happens, so that was cool. Probably saved like an extremely small quantity of time from that. But also made it easier to fly into the star without losing my bee mushroom flight time. 153 is pretty trash, but that's okay. So that was a level where it's really easy to get lots of starbits, so I picked up a bunch of starbits in that level, so I could afford to get less from the Bang Toad. All right, Boulder Bowl 1. Normally this level is like 2 hours into the run, or like an hour and a half into the run, but the route that I'm doing has it early, which is part of the reason I like this route a lot, because this level is terrible. It's really, really, really bad. And also I don't remember how to do the boss fight, so we're just gonna hope that goes well. So this level has the rock mushroom. The rock mushroom is... It's a power-up, for sure. They definitely put the rock mushroom in this game. You can use it to curl up into a ball and smash things, like this crystal, which has the comet medal inside of it. But you can also use it to do stuff like knock down this bridge, or skip half the level, which is what I'm going to try to do here. That's interesting. Okay, we're going to go back and try it again. And I don't like this camera angle that it's given me, but it'll be okay, surely. Okay, cool. So basically that ramp is supposed to catapult you to the next planet, but if you jump and spin onto it, it doesn't work. And you can then jump off of the ramp to get to the next planet. Oh yeah, also, remember when I talked about how Yoshi can fly? You can also fly with the rock mushroom. If you if you time spins and jumps with good timing, the rock mushroom can infinite jump, which is extremely annoying, because it saves a lot of time but isn't consistent enough that like most people can reliably pull off all the rock mushroom related skips and runs, so it's just like it's just like terrible. Oh yeah, also this is the boss fight against this guy, Rollo Dillo. He's an armadillo. They added those to Minecraft recently. Anybody else see that? So I'm trying to kind of like roll in a specific way here to kind of cut the boss off using advanced geometric techniques to make it so that I can roll into him in a specific way. But the way that boss fight works is extremely difficult to describe, and there's a tutorial on it that I have watched like 10 times and I still don't really understand how to do it, so that's cool. That Boulder Bowl 1 went about how I expected, given that I didn't practice it, but honestly, I've lost like 2 minutes in the level in a run before, so the fact that I didn't lose that much time is pretty solidly an indicator that I think things are going okay. Anyway, coming up next is Cosmic Cove S, which is like the secret star we unlocked from doing the Hungry Luma coin feeding thing in the normal mission. This level is like really terrible and is a bunch of swimming and then a really obnoxious bunny catching minigame. Also there, I got sent down to the engine room and then sent back up to the male toad, which actually saves a lot of time. That's a big time saver. Also, if there's an uncompleted star in the star select screen here, so there's that clear star, which is the second level, it's not the secret star, and you don't have your cursor pointed at anything, and you press A, you will select the uncompleted star. So there I had to be very careful to make sure I did not accidentally select the wrong star, because the second level of Cosmic Cove is like a 2-minute long auto-scroller, and I need to make sure I don't accidentally select that. And if you hold your cursor over the correct star that you want to select and mash A, you will still select the wrong star, because the inactive stars, selecting the inactive star takes priority. It becomes available a little sooner, so you have to make sure that you're selecting the right star, otherwise it just like doesn't work right and you lose a lot of time. Alright, this is the bunny. I'm gonna try to shoot the bunny with star bits to make sure it can't move. Alright, it moved. Nope. Alright, awesome. So now I have to do this level the intended way, which is to go hit a switch that turns the whole planet to ice so that the bunny can't outrun me, because you like physically cannot catch this guy if you're not skating. So I'm gonna... hello. I should have done a single jump there, but instead I did a skating long jump for some reason. Come back here. Okay, cool. That was a huge time loss, but honestly, that level is pretty difficult to get back on the rails if you don't know what's going on. So, we're already making our way out of World 2 here with the first Bowser levels. This game alternates between Bowser Jr. and Bowser levels. Bowser Jr. Normally has some kind of machine or a big dragon that he uses to fight you, and Bowser grows giant and shoots meteors at you, which feels a little unbalanced. Like, I have a spin attack and he has meteors, but it's like fine, because you still pummel him. And also the Bowser levels, all three of them are actually, even the Bowser Jr. levels are kind of like this. They're all notorious for being really challenging and having really either technical or obnoxious, or sometimes both, movement in them. So I'm going to be doing this level with some pretty weird looking strats that are actually fast. This level is very health dependent. A lot of the strats are very dependent on how much health you have, because there's a lot of lava boosting in Bowser's lava lair, as it may be obvious. So there you're supposed to kill that Magic Koopa to summon a Pulse Star to help you get across the gap, but you can just jump across the gap. It's really easy to die by accident there, because you'll get into the gravity field and then fall back out of it and die for no reason. It's pretty awesome when that happens. I grabbed the Life Mushroom there. If you drop below 4 health, you lose the Life Mushroom's effects permanently, but as long as you have 4 or more, you can restore it all the way back up to 6 by grabbing coins. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to try to do a lava boost that involves only hitting the lava 2 times, and then I'm going to turn the camera to manipulate the cycles. And if I did that right, I can collect that coin, get past that, get past the Womp. Oh god, that was an unexpected situation, but it's fine. And then kill this lock on the door, and now that I have enough health, I can actually skip the entire end section of this level, which has you ride a snake block. It's essentially an auto-scroller. You can skip the whole thing by just lava boosting over these statues. And... okay. The long jump physics on those are extremely janky, but that worked. And here, if you hit a meteor very precisely between 2 of the locks, you can break both at once, which is annoying because it saves a lot of time, and it's also really hard to do. Awesome, I missed. That was a weird jump. These things don't have the best gravity. If you're wondering, no, it's not possible to break all 3 at once. If you shoot a meteor exactly in the middle, it will break none of them, and then you just have to cry literal tears. Also, there's Bowser. He's real big. He got super big in the intro. I don't know if you remember, but he was very large, and he has like a Grand Star inside of him. He like ate the Grand Star uh, to grow gigantic, and now he's gonna attack me with meteors. So basically, the way that the Bowser boss fights work, they're all pretty much the same, even though ostensibly he has like different attacks and stuff. You wait for him to shoot these meteors at the ground, and then you wait for him to punch the ground, and when he punches the ground, these meteors become the kind that you can ground pound into him. And if you hit the wrong... So his shell blocks the meteors, so you want to try hit him in like the arm, because it's closer to where the meteors are. And everybody says that his shell hitbox becomes bigger as you progress through the Bowser fights, and personally I think that's like insane cope. But it is a pretty unfair hitbox. So if I were to hit a meteor into Bowser's like torso, it might just randomly bounce off for no reason, which is something that you probably won't see in this fight, but it's more of a risk in the other two because of some of the strat differences in how you hit him. Also, he shoots fire at you, and the fire also has an extremely unfair hitbox. It like totally doesn't look like it's going to hit you, and then it will. Or it totally looks like it's going to hit you, and then it doesn't, which is awesome. And also you want to be like kind of close to the area where Bowser is going to start punching, because he punches with very specific, like he moves in the air before he punches if he's not near Mario, and so you want to make sure he punches as early as possible. It's another little optimization there. That's actually a solid enough lava layer. Despite the missed meteor, that was actually pretty good. And the Womp thing, which was something I don't understand very well, but it's okay. Sometimes it just happens. So yeah, there's the Grand Star. Unfortunately, these Bowser levels have a ton of cutscenes. They're really long, in part because of how many cutscenes are in them. But it's usually fine. Usually they're pretty manageable. So now we are moving on to World 3. World 3 is like the filler world. There's like a bunch of stars that all together are not particularly memorable, but a lot of the stars in World 3, if you stop paying attention, you'll lose time, because the movement and stuff is like actually takes effort and requires you to pay attention if you don't want to make mistakes. But then also, World 3 is kind of hard to pay attention during, because it's a little boring. But you know what, that's okay. It's pretty... There's some pretty interesting stuff that happens in World 3 because of how much... Because of just like certain technicalities of the way the levels work. However, the first level is Cloudy Court 1, which isn't exciting at all. It's really, really boring, and I don't like it. This level is full of cloud platforming, and it's in this level that you really learn to appreciate just how janky the Cloud Flower can be. You can very easily die for literally no reason in this level, and it's pretty annoying. But there's also the pretty nice upside, which is that you can skip a lot of this level's intended platforming by just using the Cloud Flower to do stuff. So you're going to be seeing a lot of those boosted Cloud Flower long jumps that I mentioned earlier. Basically long jumping off of an edge with the Cloud Flower to gain additional speed and height, and then using the Cloud Flower's expanding cloud hitbox to boost Mario. There I jumped through the Cloud Flower to get an extra cloud, so I can make it to this drum here, which lets me get over to the next planet using my clouds. And then here I'm gonna... Oh, nice! If you fly directly into that Cloud Flower, it like doesn't let you make a cloud for some reason. I don't know why or how that works. And then there's this 2D platforming section, which is total garbage. I hate this section so much. It is extremely frustrating to do well. I'm going to try that trick again here. Nice. So if I do that correctly, I can use the clouds that I get to circumvent that whole section. And then the ending here is a set of crushers that is on a really obnoxious cycle, which thankfully I got through. If you miss that cycle, you have to wait forever for those things to go back together, for those things to come back apart. And like I mentioned earlier, this game has ridiculously unfair crushing physics, so sometimes you can be, they'll open up and just kill you for no reason while you're like waiting for them to reopen. That was actually a really good Cloudy Court one. So now we are going to do Freezy Flake Secret, which is it's an auto-scroller. There's nothing to do in this level. Basically, it is one of many challenges in this game where you are meant to kill enemies in order to get points, and the more points you get, the better. However, in this particular level, it's so easy that you actually barely need to do anything in order to kill the required number of enemies. So we get to meet our friend the Chimp, though. We first met the Chimp in Fluffy Bluff 1, and we get to see him again in this level, and as well as all the other levels where you're supposed to get a high score. The Chimp shows up and challenges you. So there's a secret pipe inside this tree, and it leads to this area with the skating challenge. So I need to get 500 points. The green enemies, the green gummets, they give 1 point, or 100 points, and 10 points. And the gold ones give 50. Now the patterns are actually the same every time. They're just rotated differently depending on your like precise position. So another thing that's nice about this level is that it's really easy to just memorize the patterns, and then you know what's gonna happen, and it's really easy to get enough points. Also, I'm trying to actually knock out all of the green ones because the patterns change faster if you knock them all out. And then this one has two 50-point ones, which makes it really easy. And then I can go bounce on the Chimp's head after finishing, which is fun, I guess. I don't know. There's not much to do in that level. You gotta make your own fun. But the nice thing about that is it's really fast. So that level is like, it's like a kind of a, you know, you take it because it's fast and easy. There's no challenge with doing that level, but there's also not a particular incentive besides its speed in terms of how cool it is. Anyway, speaking of levels that are fast and easy, Freezy Flake 1 is really hard. This level is extremely cycle dependent, or not cycle dependent, but timer dependent. There is a fire flower in this level you need to keep as long as possible, and the fire flower is on a timer, because for whatever reason they decided that in the Galaxy games the fire flower was going to be on a timer. And so I'm going to try to do some really tight movement to keep the fire flower through a all the way to a certain section so I can break a block which contains the Comet Medal. And if I don't do this fast enough, I will lose, like, it's straight up like a 20-second time loss or something if I mess this up. So let's hope I don't mess this up. I really don't. This is very slow, but that's okay. So there I set up for, but did not quite properly execute. Oh, come on! That was like, I spun like marginally too late. So I have to go back and get this fire flower, and then you can't make the correct cycle. So you have to wait for another fire flower to spawn. You have to wait for the one you have to run out, and then wait for another one to spawn. So I'm gonna, while I'm waiting, I'm gonna shoot these blocks, and then I'm gonna go back and just stand here. So the reason I messed that up is because I got a little thrown off by the position of the crystal and then the ice dude. I should have done slightly different movement there. And then I tried to do a clip onto the slide, which saves a little bit of time. And if I had gotten that, I would have been able to make it, but unfortunately I missed that because I got a weird angle. So that's okay. It's not a huge deal, but it is a pretty significant time loss. So now we're moving on to Haunty Halls 1, and Haunty Halls 1 is a level that is also extremely cycle-based. So this level has moving carpet platforms which appear out of and then disappear. They kind of appear out of the walls and then disappear back into the walls. And this entire level is based around one giant cycle with a moving platform. So you want to make the correct cycle, because at the very end of the platforming section in this level, there is a comet medal that is positioned on a moving platform that only appears out of the walls once every few seconds. So if you miss the cycle, you won't be able to get the comet medal and you have to lose a little bit of time. So you can see that these platforms are obviously like where you're able to jump is very dependent on the position of the cycle. So starting at the beginning here, I'm going to turn the camera as soon as I land to make the cycles behave themselves. And then I need to make it past these octoboos without getting hit. If I get hit, I won't be able to make the cycle, because the cycles continue to move during the animation of Mario, like getting up off the ground, and getting hit in this game is a crazy long damage animation. So now if I go really fast, which this is not fast, but should be okay, I can make this platform and then move down it as it's going into the wall. And these platforms don't start appearing until you hit a certain trigger, which is like on the platform that immediately precedes them. So this thing would not come out of the wall. I could wait, I could sit there forever, and until I moved far enough forward, it would not come out of the wall, which is why those cycles are so scary. And there I made the cycle of the platform with the comet medal on it, which is good. And here I want to pick up the bulb berry, which makes certain objects and platforms appear when you're on Yoshi, and then just start infinite fluttering, because that's how you get anywhere in a Yoshi level. And then I'm gonna try to get into the star. Nice. That was a little suspicious. I kind of lost a little bit of speed there, because another thing about Yoshi fluttering that is another nuance that makes it challenging is that if you hold a direction that is inside the semicircle of the direction in which Yoshi is facing. So if Yoshi's facing forward and you hold anywhere in like the up direction on your stick, you'll lose speed. So you can't hold the direction Yoshi is facing, you have to hold perpendicular to it in order to not lose any speed. Which there I didn't have exactly the correct control stick angle, which caused me to lose a little bit of speed on that flutter, which made the ending a little weird, but that was okay. Alright, this is another super cycle-based level, Beat Block. It's literally, the gimmick is that the beat blocks appear and disappear in time with the music. So this level is just, again, it's entirely cycle-based. They actually, I think they brought the beat blocks back in Super Mario 3D World, as well as this game. So if you played Super Mario 3D World, you might have seen those in that game. But this level is very based around the beat blocks switching back and forth, and unfortunately they are also a little suspicious. The cycles can sometimes feel like they're not quite perfectly aligned with the position of the beat blocks, so sometimes when you grab the star at the end, you don't know where they're going to be, which is a little frustrating, and sometimes the enemies also don't behave properly. So ideally I will be able to long jump down this path. This section loves to eat your long jump inputs, and I died. Interesting. Okay, so I have no idea how to recover from that, because now the cycles are different. The cycles are different if you die. So now I have to... I'm just gonna wait and let this get back onto the cycle that I'm used to, so I know what I'm doing, and then I'm gonna just do this the way that I would normally do it. So here I want this one to appear under the comet medal, and then I'm gonna try to jump off this green one. Okay, whatever. I'm gonna bother to grab the checkpoint because my cycle is not quite where I'm used to it being. If you long jump on the edge of that, you can grab that silver star even though it's not over the edge, and then I pull an angle which causes my thumb to slip off the stick, apparently. So if the blocks change right as you collect the star, like Oh my god. Jesus. So if the blocks change right as you collect the star, they will change back after you collect the star. So if the blocks are yellow and they change to green as you collect the star, they can be green while the star cutscene is happening and then change to yellow after the star spawns and you regain control. So if you're expecting them to be green and then you like try to spin to land on the green block and then they change back to yellow, you'll just fall through and die. It's really frustrating when that happens. It's happened to me in a run before. Alright, Cloudy Court Comet. This is the first Prankster Comet of the run. Prankster Comets are levels which ask you to complete some kind of challenge based on like a remix or, you know, different mechanic from the original level. So in this particular level, we're going to be doing platforming in this section with cosmic clones chasing us, which are kind of like the Battlein from Celeste, where it like chases you and copies all your movements. This is a marathon for like people who aren't cis, so I can reference Celeste. Oh yeah, I got the despawn. That's cool. If you collect that star chip but only touch the very edge of it, the cosmic clones don't spawn on the first star chip. You can do that with all of them and just never spawn any of them, but it's easiest to do on the first one. And basically, this level is really fast, and a lot of the Prankster Comets are pretty fast because they'll only be a portion of a level you've already done. In this case, it's kind of changed the level from being cloud-based to being like a fast-paced platforming level. So this is a pretty fast level, and I can complete it relatively quickly. And the next Comet, Prankster Comet star we're going to do is Puzzle Plank Comet, which is also an extremely fast star. In fact, it only takes like 30 seconds to complete it, which is a really nice. It's a nice star for speedruns because it's pretty movement intensive and pretty interesting, but also really fast. So it's a nice quick. It doesn't overstay its welcome because the movement does get a little uninteresting if you had to do like a 1 minute long level instead of a 30-second one. Also, you could use the big world map, the grand world map, to move between levels sometimes. And this is also the start of cleanup. So there are 3 kind of main sections of the run where you do like all the levels in a given world. So like World 1, World 2, World 3, World 4, whatever. And then there's 3 cleanup sections where you go back and do a bunch of levels you've already done, or in a bunch of levels in a world you've already been to. So in this level we have to collect all the purple coins. So there are exactly 100 and you need all to collect all 100. That's not true of every purple coin level in the game. Sometimes you don't need to collect all of them, but in this particular level you do. So I'm trying to precisely control Mario's position so that he is between the 2 sets of purple coins that are in each little cluster. And I'm also jumping because jumping is a tiny bit faster than running on the ground. So it saves like a few frames, you know, to jump between those sets of purple coins. But you can also, if you jump too low or too high or too late, you can just jump over the purple coins, and that loses more time than jumping is ever going to save you. All right, this is Boulder Bowl Comet. Welcome to RNG. This level is focused on killing a bunch of crabs which are running around on this planet, which is the planet where we fought the boss in the first level. And the crabs are completely random. It's random which direction they walk in and which, like how often they move around. So these things are awful. You can, the variance in this level, like how long it takes you to finish it, is like 20 seconds. It's crazy. Because sometimes you can just get terrible luck and they'll just juke out of the way every time you try to roll over them. I'm pretty sure in levels like this, they all start in the same place, but they move around so erratically that it's like basically impossible to predict where they're going to be. The only nice thing, the one concession that you get, is that if you grab the rock mushroom and immediately roll up, there's a big cluster of them that usually congregates right up here. You can see there's a bunch all next to each other. So these blue ones, they have 1-ups, but they're also a lot harder to to kill. Their movement is very erratic, so they're kind of challenging. Also, yeah, the lag. That's another thing that I forgot to mention. Sometimes when you try to kill a crabber, the game just lags for an insane amount for no reason. It's worth noting that because I'm not playing on Virtual Console and I'm playing on disc has a little bit more lag in certain places, but it's not enough for it to be a meaningful time loss anywhere. But it is something that's worth noting in a few spots. Okay, that was actually that was a really, really passable Boulder Bowl comment. Like, I will take that any day. I've lost that minigame in a run before because I couldn't kill all the crabs in time. So being able to do that relatively quickly without too much mishap is pretty nice. Alright, Hytale Fell's Comet is the star that just spawned. It's a speedrun stage of the first level of Hytale Falls. So we're literally just going to do the same level again. This time there's meteors and holes in the platforms, which I guess are supposed to make it a little bit harder, but it's really easy still. And you can pretty much do the same movement that you do in the original star. And interestingly enough, if you do infinite flutters and don't use the dash pepper at all, it's actually still totally possible to beat this level. So you can't escape it even in the category. There's a category in this game called Transformation List where you don't pick up any power-ups, including the Yoshi power-ups, and this level is you can't escape this level even in that category. So there's like fewer railings. Like there's a railing there in the original star, which makes that long jump a little more suspicious. And there's meteors everywhere. I don't think I've ever been hit by one of these. Knock on wood, but I don't remember the last time I did, if it's ever happened to me. I jumped too early there, I think, actually. That might have been a first string jump. Oh yeah, I'm also going up the left side here, even though you're intended to go up the right side, because there's a second dash pepper you can use to get up to the very top. But if you just grab the second dash pepper and take it through the launch star, you can dash for this section, whereas normally until you grab that dash pepper I just picked up, you can't dash. Your dash pepper runs out while you're in the launch star. And because I don't need to go get the Comet Medal here, I can go through the launch star and then do a trick here that some people refer to as the Leap of Faith, which is a trick based around a mechanic that I literally cannot explain called tilt. Basically, if you jump as Yoshi goes around the corner of that platform, all of his speed will be converted into jump height, and you can jump super high and skip to the end of the level. That's the extremely high-level explanation of how that works. It's very difficult to explain. Alright, Tall Trunk 1. This level is extremely movement-intensive, and it's like a cross between movement and Yoshi stuff, because you're supposed to have an item called the Blimp Fruit, which there's 3 Yoshi power-ups: the Blimp Fruit, the Dash Pepper, and the Bulb Berry. The Blimp Fruit's for horizontal, the Dash Pepper's horizontal, Blimp Fruit is vertical, and the Bulb Berry's for puzzles. This entire first section you're supposed to do with Yoshi, and you can skip Yoshi because it's a lot faster to do without Yoshi. Also, that jump is probably, like, I have terrible depth perception, and that jump is probably the worst depth perception jump in the whole, maybe the whole run. Definitely in this, like, area of the run. Dude, please, I need you to just get up. Thank you. Alright, and then bounce off the berry to get a nice little angled wall jump there that lets me get up to the launch star. So that was a really, really abysmal first planet, but that's okay. And then jump up and grab Yoshi here, and I'm going to circumvent using the Blimp Fruit pretty much entirely by doing this somewhat tricky infinite flutter to grab the Comet Medal. Nice. That's actually a lot harder than it looks. If you do that wrong, you will infinite flutter past the Comet Medal and not get it. And then you're meant to use the Blimp Fruits to go around the circular section. the other way, but I can just fall, and then instead of floating up into the launch star, I can dismount Yoshi and wall jump up. Which it's cool that you can wall jump off that wall. It's actually really good, because if you couldn't, you'd have to get the Blimp Fruit. And this last section is an example of why you don't want to get the Blimp Fruit, because the Blimp Fruit is super slow. So, if I use the two-player Luma guy to freeze the Goombas, the Paragoombas, I can actually go through them and also bounce off them. So, normally this isn't possible, but if I do this just right, I can bounce off of the Goomba, which gives me a little bit of extra height, which means I can float right into the star, and I don't need to get that Blimp Fruit to the left, which gives me just like a little bit of a straighter line. Alright, Haunty Halls 2. This level is the Super Mario Galaxy Speedrun Simulator 2010. This level is literally like one giant chain of long jumps. You want to just continuously long jump this whole level. It's like the only movement you do in this level is just long jumping. So, this is the long jump simulator. And long jumping has some pretty decently interesting tech. So you can buffer long jumps out of a previous long jump. So if you long jump and continue holding the Z button, or some people say the Z button, you can press A again and get another long jump, which is what I'm going to be doing for the majority of this level. Sometimes I'll let go of the Z button, or some people say the Z button, in order to turn a little bit before I start my next long jump. But the big thing that is interesting about long jumps in this game is the closer together you time the inputs of the two buttons, the more speed you will maintain. And if you frame perfectly time the two of them, you will maintain full running speed out of the long jump, and that's referred to as a running speed long jump. So there I actually did it off an edge, which has the same effect. Hello? Please? Oh yeah, that's another thing. It's really easy to accidentally backflip instead of long jumping, which is also very cool. Shoutouts to the Mattermouths, by the way, one of the best enemies in this game. Gotta love the Mattermouths. So, in this section, they're eating away the carpet, which means that the carpet, of course, has a really suspicious hitbox. So, I'm trying to keep my smooth long jump movement without necessarily allowing myself to get too close to the holes, because sometimes then you'll just die. Also, the other thing about those levels is moving platforms, even if they're not moving in the direction you're moving, give you extra momentum when you jump off of them. This game in general has really weird momentum physics, very different from the first Mario Galaxy game. So if you're on a moving platform and you jump off of it, you just get random speed boosts, which can either help or hinder, depending on the precise situation. But I use that a lot in order to get myself moving a little bit faster. So this level is Bowser Jr.'s Fearsome Fleet. This is an entirely Yoshi-based level, and you know what that means. The whole level is based around eating things and spitting them back out with Yoshi, and namely Bullet Bills from these Bullet Bill Blaster guys. But yeah, because we have Yoshi, we kind of don't need to do that. We can just skip the whole level by infinite fluttering past it. So I'm going to be doing that here. I'm going to grab Yoshi, and then this is another example of a Yoshi flutter where you don't have enough time to make it before he loses all of his speed. So I'm going to do this flutter, and right before Yoshi loses all his speed, I'm going to just dismount off of him. And he falls in the pit, so you can instantly get another Yoshi. And then I'm going to try to grab one of these Bullet Bills as I'm going by, freeze this Hammer Bro, and then hit the switch. And I'm going to do that thing I just talked about, where I use the moving platform there to get extra momentum on my flutters here, as well as the moving ship. Even though it's moving to the side, it still gives me additional momentum. And then I'm going to hopefully use... Ooh, I dropped a flutter. That's okay. I have backup strats for this. There we go. So I can flutter over that thing. Instead of, you're supposed to break that by riding the moving platform and shooting a bullet bill at it, but you can just go over it by infinite fluttering, which if you time your A press too late on the infinite flutter, you'll drop the flutter like I did there, and if you time it too early, you'll jump off Yoshi. And if I jumped off Yoshi there, it would be so over. So I kind of intentionally play infinite flutters a little safe in that regard, but it also causes problems. Alright, so this is Mega Hammer. This is the boss. This was my favorite boss in the game when I was a kid, and now it is no longer my favorite boss in the game because I've become a speedrunner and started to hate everything about this game. So there I actually just did a little bit of a cycle skip. He's supposed to block the chest glass things with his hammers, but if you do that just right, you can actually break both of them at once. That's a little bit of a tight timing, but there's a setup to make it super easy. And then here I'm going to try to shoot up. That's not good. Okay, he turned around. That's fine. I can just go back over him using the Sling Star, which is over here. So here what I want to do is lead 3 bullet bills at once off to the side here. Okay, I did actually get all 3 this time. And then I want to hit him twice and then have a bullet bill in my mouth. And if Mega Hammer doesn't spawn another volley of bullet bills before I get that one in my mouth, I'll keep it through the cutscene. Sometimes that bullet bill just despawns for no reason, but it's pretty reliable. And then I can flutter up and hit the glass dome on top of Bowser Jr. in it, which you're supposed to do by waiting for Mega Hammer to slam the ground so that the glass dome's within reach. But because you can flutter, and especially because you can infinite flutter, you can pretty much always get up there in a fast manner. And there I dismounted Yoshi to get to the Sling Star a little bit faster to grab the Grand Star, and that is World 3. So that is what I like to think of as the first half of the run done, even though it's not the first half. It's only 1 hour and 20 minutes in, but that is okay. Still doing pretty good here. So World 4 is the first part of the run where the game really starts pulling out the malarkey on you. This world is extremely punishing, and I don't want to say unfair because it makes me sound salty, but like Loki, there's kind of a lot of unfair time losses that can happen to you in this world. It's pretty bad. So we're gonna hope that it goes well. World 4 is like the pretty much the make or break with like whether or not your run is actually going to PB, because every mistake in this level loses so much time. It's bad. So the first challenging part of this world is Sweet Mystery, which is a Hungry Luma Galaxy that I need to unlock by feeding this guy. Sweet Mystery is a level entirely based around the Bulbberry, so you're supposed to use the Bulbberry, which causes Yoshi to kind of cast a area of effect in front of him, which allows certain platforms to become not only visible but tangible. So everything that's invisible is also not, you can't stand on it or anything. If the platforms in this level were still there, just invisible, it'd actually be a lot easier because you could land on them and you wouldn't have to deal with infinite fluttering as much, relying on the correct angles and stuff. But because the Bulbberry is required for the platforms to become tangible, I have to rely on getting a good enough infinite flutter angle here at the beginning of the level to where I can infinite flutter across the level, pick up the Bulbberry in midair, and land where I want to be. Which, this first infinite flutter is probably the hardest in the run to do consistently. It's definitely up there, because you have to be very precise with your control stick. This is my least favorite infinite flutter in the run. Okay, I fell, that's fine. I did actually get the flutter like the way that I was intending to, but I fell, so I had to flutter back up to save myself. And now I'm gonna line up a little bit and do kind of a reasonably precise infinite flutter setup here. And if I do this just right, I can... that was really close, that's a shame. If I do that just right, I can bounce off the Smeech, which looks extremely cool and is also fast. but unfortunately I didn't get it here, so I'm gonna have to back this up with some slightly suspicious movement. Grabbing the bulb berry there, again, for the same reason that I did earlier, which is that it makes these platforms tangible, so I don't have to worry about landing on the star. I'm gonna just do this the safe way, because something that I didn't mention is that because of how I skipped half the level by infinite fluttering, if I fell there, I would not die. There's an invisible floor that extends quite a distance, so if you, if I didn't properly, do that movement up to the star, I would have fallen, and then I wouldn't die. I'd have to like go jump off the invisible floor, and it loses like 30 seconds or something. So it's bad if that happens. All right, that was not the greatest Sweet Mystery, but it's okay. This is Flipsville 1. This level is almost entirely skipped by doing some cool gravity shenanigans. This is like one of the coolest looking levels in terms of like flashy skips that you do, but it's also can be a little frustrating if you mess skips up, because they can be fickle, but they're not too bad. So starting off here, I'm going to be waiting on this cycle and trying to that was a weird jump. Okay, and now I can jump up to the top of the level and skip directly to the Comet Medal, and then I'm going to jump off here and skip basically the entire section that you're supposed to do there. And I'm going to get up here, line myself up, backflip, slide off this roof to get a bunch of speed, and then, if I did that right, which I might not have actually, I can make it to the boss planet, which has, again, it has a massive gravity field for some reason. And now here's the boss fight against Glamdozer, which is actually really easy to do, because this boss has a vulnerability, which is that it sits right above the thing, and it's like very edge of its hitbox is available, so you can hit the boss right as it becomes vulnerable, which I did a decent job of, and you can pretty much stunlock the boss and prevent it from being able to do anything. So, pretty cool level. Lots of interesting skips and kind of some unintended behavior making their way together. Alright, Flipsville 2 is another spin drill based level, but unlike Spindig 1, it has no RNG and is in fact extremely consistent. Basically, this is another level that's based on using the spin drill. So in the previous level, I was using those grates to flip gravity. In this level, you use the spin drill to dig between the different sides of the planet to flip the gravity. But befitting with the theme of this run so far, you can jump in this game, so you can just jump past the walls that are supposed to prevent you from going between the different edges of the planet. So you can skip literally the entire intended level and get to the final section right away as soon as you get into this level, which is super nice, because this is another level that if you had to do it the intended way, it probably wouldn't be fast enough. But because you don't have to do this the intended way, like, at all, it is actually really nice. Now, this guy sometimes likes to get in the way, and in Spindig, you can't wall jump off the dirt structures that you're meant to dig up, but in this level, you can. So you can just skip the whole puzzle there that you're meant to use the spin drill for. And then here, this indoor section is entirely on a cycle, and it's a really easy cycle to catch. So this whole section is literally just super, like, you can't make this. It's not possible to make it here before the gravity changes. So you can, you get a lot of leeway on this cycle. It's really easy. And then same thing here, you pretty much have to wait for this. Alright, cool. Okay, so coming up next is Supermassive. So, if you don't know anything about this game, Supermassive used to be in the route a very long time ago. But it was eventually replaced when people realized that it's not fast. And then, they found strats that make it fast. And so it's viable to do an any percent, but nobody but me does Supermassive any percent because everybody but me hates it. I don't mind these levels personally, like I don't really have a problem with doing them, but I've been told before that I think the precise wording was you deserve to be executed for doing Supermassive in any percent. So maybe there's something about this level that I just don't get. Maybe I'm like bad at it, and that's why I don't know that it's supposed to be hard. But I don't know. It's like I don't mind these levels too much. The gimmick is that everything's big, so there's some big wigglers, which is the name of the level. Huge trouble with big wigglers. Also, this level is super laggy, so that's fun. The game sometimes eats your inputs for breakfast in this level because it's just laggy. The Wii's technical prowess was okay, cool, that's awesome. I jinxed myself by saying I was gonna mess it up. That's a strat that you can do in that level, which requires you to hit the checkpoint, but because I didn't do the backflip correctly, it wasn't on camera for long enough for me to grab the checkpoint. So that's a strat that we call Whales Warp, which is a terrible name, but it's funny. And here I'm going to go for a really dumb quick kill on these Koopas that's like really annoying and hard. Okay, awesome. My A button just stopped responding there for a second. That was cool. And now I have to get... Okay, that's annoying because there's like literally no way to recover from this. Like I might just be dead. It might be impossible to deal with this, but let's see if I can't manage to figure something out. Okay, cool. Now I have to go get the spin drill, which is gonna take forever. Okay, this is probably the biggest time loss in the run so far, is this situation that's going on right now. But there's what I was trying to do. You can kill two Koopas at once if you drill into their undersides in a precise fashion, but I messed it up because my controller decided it did not like me. I turned the camera here, not for cycles, but actually because this section lags a ton if you don't turn the camera. So, but then also the cycles are like, they're like okay. That jump, I wouldn't have been able to make that jump if that wasn't a moving platform. The moving platform gives me a ton of extra momentum there. And now I'm gonna just get through this ending section, which is a little suspicious. And then this pole, this fatal pole, kills you so often because if you jump off of it in the wrong way, the gravity flips and you fall up and off the level and die. And it's like, I don't know how they didn't catch it when they were like playtesting the game because it's so easy to do by accident. But yeah, that pole can just kill you for no real good reason. So that's cool. Alright, next is Supermassive Secret, which is the same level again, so we're gonna hope that I don't mess it up this time. The main reason why it's like viable to actually do these levels in an any percent run is because the strategies that I'm doing, like namely the Death Warp and then the Koopa quick kill, can be done in both levels, which means that they save twice the amount of time. Okay, I actually did that correctly this time. Shocker, huge, massive, super massive even. So if I do this right, you can see what it's supposed to look like here. I'm going to try to bounce off this Koopa, and then grab the spin drill, and then time my drill. You missed it, but that's fine. I can actually back this up by just doing the same thing again and killing both these Koopas at once. I thought that worked for some reason, even though it didn't. Whatever, good enough. I got that like 10 times in a row in practice, and I was like, okay, cool, I don't need to practice it. Yes, I did. So, this level is challenging in that you need to remember to not go through the second launch star here, because the secret star is on this planet that you can entirely skip over. Nice! I got the long jump off the disappearing platform. That's actually kind of tight. So you just need to run around on this planet and bloom all these flowers, and oh boy, is it easy to accidentally miss a very small patch of them and then spend the rest of your life running around on here. But thankfully I didn't miss any, so that's good, I guess. So yeah, this level actually, this particular level used to be a 90% before it was replaced by Honey Bloom, and then it was found that you can still do it, it's just not fun. Unless you're me, in which case you enjoy the level. Alright. So Flipsville Comet is a total auto-scroller, but it's also cycle-based. So this level is a purple coin mission that takes place inside the little indoor area that we were in previously. And there is a fast cycle in this level that I found, which means that out of every level in the run, this is probably technically the one I'm the best at, because I used to have the IL record in it, and that is not true about any other level. So you can grab a purple coin here, like right using the camera in a very specific way, and if you do that just right, and then do the rest of this level just right, you can skip a cycle in this level, which is really hard to do, but okay, I already messed up, that's fine. So this level utilizes a kind of bit of tech in this in the Spindrill levels, which is that you can actually I messed up the cycle, unfortunately. I did take an extra cycle there to grab those purple coin. Grab that purple coin that I missed because you can't really go back for that one. The cycle in this level is based around using the hitbox of the Spindrill because it's really big to grab some of the coins, so I can do it there, for example. And then I can do it again right here. And even if the gravity switches while I'm drilling, I can still make it through. And okay, that was really bad, but that's okay. I shouldn't have gone for the optimal cycle on that level because it's not easy to do if I haven't like gotten it back into my muscle memory, because it requires you to be very precise with the way you're moving Mario as well as the way you're pointing with the cursor. So coming up next is Sweet Mystery Comet, which is another annoying purple coin level that is hard to master. This level is pretty much entirely based around collecting purple coins with Yoshi using the Bulb Berry. So first of all, Yoshi sometimes doesn't cooperate, but also, for whatever reason, they didn't let you grab them with Yoshi's tongue, which I think would be fun if you could do that. So this level is like very based around having good movement and the ability to position Yoshi's hitbox so that he's grabbing all these purple coins kind of as you go here. So here, for example, walking between those two rows of coins is actually pretty precise, but once you have a feeling for where to position Yoshi, it's not too bad. And then there's also cycles in this level with these moving platforms that you can actually see their presence, and you can actually see inside them with the Bulb Berry, which I think is very charming. These stairs are very awkward. They're positioned in such a way that they're like exactly the wrong spacing to like smoothly jump up them, which is annoying. But it's okay. Alright, cool. So, that was decent. That was good enough, I suppose. So, next is Chompworks 1. Chompworks is a level entirely based around escorting Chain Chomps around. So this level is totally... It's not an auto-scroller so much as it's like a... It's another cycle-based level, but it's also based on manipulating the level so that the Chomps can roll where you need them to go. So it's like a combination of a cycle-based level and like a normal platforming level, because your speed and your platforming still matter, but they matter in terms of the cycles as opposed to in like a raw time conversion. So here in this level, I'm going to be trying to grab the Comet Medal at the beginning here and also hit the switch. So I'm going to be doing this, and then going back here to land on this platform, and ideally what? I didn't hit the switch. I forgot to hit the switch. Alright, awesome. So that is annoying. And here is actually kind of a cool strat. If I crouch before taking this launch star, I skip an animation on the next planet, which saves a little bit of time and makes this cycle much less annoying. That was a cool long jump. Okay, so now I need to do some specific movement here. I'm going to try to land on that green platform in such a way that it tilts downward as I move off of it so that the Chomp can roll onto it. That is actually like, that takes some practice to learn how to do that, because you have to have the right position and run on the platform for the correct amount of time. And here I need to catch a cycle with this golden Chomp in the distance. I want to get to it quick enough to hold it in place, and I did not, unfortunately, but that's okay. I actually think I might have been able to make that if I didn't also do a stupid with the Goom Beetle, but that's fine. So this section is pretty much an auto-scroller. You need to hold these platforms down for the Chomp to get across, but it's so easy to get between the different platforms in time that it's not actually challenging to make the cycles with the Chomp. And then pick this guy, and I'm gonna try to jump and grab the stars that's spawning, which can be challenging because if you get hit by the Chomp, it usually tosses you outside the star's hitbox, which makes it like impossible to grab the star. Alright. Chompworks 2 is a completely cycle-based level, based on everybody's favorite power-up, the Spring Mushroom. I don't think I've ever met a single person in my entire life who likes the Spring Mushroom in the Super Mario Galaxy games. It's really bad. It's probably the worst power-up in all of the Mario Galaxy games. It's definitely up there for sure. It's one of Mario's worst power-ups. It just has terrible, terrible controls. And in Galaxy 1, the whole of a 120-star speedrun, you can do the whole thing without even using the Spring Mushroom. You never even get it. But in this game, while you definitely don't use it as much as you're intended to, the last section of this level has platforms that are so... You need the high jump from the Spring Mushroom to get across them. Now, this first section, the cycles on the last planet are moving while I'm on this first planet, so I need to do specific movement. Also, there you're supposed to use the Spring Mushroom to bounce up that ramp. You normally can't run up it, but if you run up the very edge of it, you can run up it. And so now here I need to... Whoa, hello. That NPC likes to push you. It's pretty annoying. I need to get around these Chomps. You can long jump around the Chomps without spinning if you're Goryuya. And then I'm gonna get into the launch star. And hopefully, on this planet, if I did the correct movement on the first planet, the cycle will be good for me to make it up here without needing to waste any cycles with the spring mushroom. So I'm gonna try to get onto this platform. Okay, I jumped slightly too early and I didn't have enough speed to make it onto the platform. So unfortunately I'm gonna have to wait an extra cycle here. So I lose a few seconds to waiting for this platform to go back up. But that's okay. Still acceptable. Okay, so the next level here is after we get the spring mushroom. After Lubba talks about the spring mushroom. The next level here is Starshine Beach 1. Now, Starshine Beach 1 and Starshine Beach 2 are very, very different. Starshine Beach 1 is a very long and tricky level, and Starshine Beach 2 is very short and punishing. And these levels together are both really unfun, but they kind of... This is kind of like the tipping point where if your run's bad and you mess up in these levels, like, this is where you reset. And if your run's good and you mess up in these levels, this is where it becomes not a good run anymore. So these levels are like kind of the gatekeeper to a good any percent run, because they're both challenging, and they're both challenging for different reasons. So if you're not on your... Excuse me, if you're not playing well that day, you might just, like, not do both of them. Not do one of them correctly. Alright, so I'm gonna actually grab a couple starbits here because I want to shoot this crabber with the starbit to immobilize it, prevent it from moving, so that I can grab Yoshi and use infinite fluttering to take the crabber with me. If I dismount Yoshi right now, the crabber will disappear, so I have to make sure that I time my infinite flutters well. And then I'm going to try to do this infinite flutter. This is really hard. Getting the correct angle and position on this flutter is really challenging. I managed to get an extremely good one, though. And then I'm going to use the Dash Pepper to get up to the top here. And then with the Dash Pepper, Yoshi can run across the water, so I can run across the water here, grab this last one, and then I'm going to try the dismount trick on the slope here to dismount into the launch star. There we go, or into the Silver Star. And there we go. That was actually a really good Starshine Beach 1. Now, I actually need to do a couple more things before I grab the star. So the Comet Medal is underwater in this tunnel, and it's fast to get it at the end while you're going to the star. And then because there's a Yoshi egg in between me and the star, I'm going to jump on Yoshi and infinite flutter to get to the star. It's a little faster than just... Oh, I tried to dismount and bounce off the Pianta to conserve my speed and bounce into the star, but I didn't get it, unfortunately. That's okay. So it's a little tricky to get a good Yoshi flutter there, but it's faster than long jumping into the star. Also, the other thing is you might have noticed that whenever I infinite flutter with Yoshi, I'm shaking before I start fluttering, and that is because I'm intentionally that is intentional. I'm doing that on purpose because it gives Yoshi a little more speed. So if you want speed, you generally shake before you do a flutter, and if you want height, you don't shake before you do a flutter. Now, Starshine Beach 2, this whole level is a giant cycle, and the cycle is pretty much always moving, and if you mess it up, there is no backup. You just cry and cope and seethe. So we're going to hope I don't mess this up, because if I do, I'm going to be cooked. And if that wasn't enough already, this level also involves a camera manipulation, so I have to keep the camera pointed in specific directions, because if I don't, the cycles won't be right. So if you mess up the camera here, it gets stuck, and then you're cooked. If you don't turn the camera with proper timing, you're cooked. That, I think, is fine, even though I messed up the movement. I'm pretty sure the camera turns based on your position, so I think it should be okay. We're gonna hope. Looks good. Jump off that cloud, and make it up to the top of the tower. So that level, the intended way, takes so long to do. You have to sail these lily pad raft things all over the level, and it takes forever. Thankfully, you can jump off the clouds. That's not a big frame window. It's like a handful of frames, maybe 5 or 6, to jump off the clouds. So while it is consistent, it's definitely not easy. And if you mess that up, the clouds are in a totally unpredictable position, which causes you to have to either do an extremely suspicious backup or go back to the Chuckster. I'm a Chuckster. And let him fling you again and hope that the cloud's in the right spot. Alright, Chompworks Comet. This level is literally such an auto-scroller that the IL record for this level is like a 6-way tie, because it's... you just do it as fast as possible. There is an time save, one piece of speed tech, and piece of speed tech in this level, which is that you want to wait for this Chomp here to break before you trigger the Cosmic Clones. So I do that movement specifically for that reason. And now I literally just need to hold the platforms down in the same way. There's nothing you can do to speed this level up. It is just a giant auto-scroller. But it's fast, it's only like a minute long. So if you want a world record in this game, you can go for the Tide Chompworks Comet IL of it. I think it's like 51.2 seconds or something. That's like the frame perfect star grab and stuff. These Cosmic Clones are... oh, there's no way! That was like so not even close. Whatever. Fine. Mad. Because that's the last place you can possibly mess that up, and also really annoying. I better hope I don't take damage. I almost did, because I wasn't paying attention. So, the Cosmic Clones kind of take forever to get out of the... or the Chomp takes forever, and then the Cosmic Clones they chase you so aggressively that it can be kind of annoying to deal with this, but yeah, that's what I get for saying that level is the auto-scroller to end all auto-scrollers, but also that was a massive skill issue. That should never happen to anybody, but it happened to me. Alright. This upcoming level is Gravity Gauntlet. This is probably the hardest Bowser stage, at least it's my personal, like the one that I struggle with the most personally. This level has 2 separate challenging skips you can do to skip the entire thing. And depending on whether you're in the normal mission or the speedrun mission, you want to, or the speedrun Comet mission, you want to do a different one. So in order to do this level optimally, you have to learn 2 separate skips, and both of them are not exactly easy. So the movement here at the beginning is not too difficult. I'm going to try to get a little lava boost here. Nice. Up. And I'm going to try to up. Okay, that was supposed to be a long jump, but I didn't get it, so it's fine. I'm going to grab this life mushroom, because I'm going to need the health for some damage boosting. Okay. Awesome. Very cool. I need the coin. You don't have to have 6 health, but if you don't have 6 health, it makes this trick a lot less consistent. I need that Comet Medal. You can't forget the Comet Medal. If you forget the Comet Medal, it's run over. And then I'm going to try to get here, do a lava boost, move a specific distance away from the castle wall to get a trick hold behind the castle that skips the entire level. That is a really tough trick. So it's cool to get it. Cool to get it first try, even though it was a little bit slow. So that the reason why that's hard is because you have to be an extremely specific distance away from the castle wall for that to work. If you're too far away, you die. If you're too close, you get stuck, and then you die. So there's a very certain position setup that you have to do in order to make that trick work, which is annoying, but it's okay. It's not too hard, and it saves a lot of time to do that. Alright, shouts to Mario's single frame face animation change. I don't know what, it's like really awkward looking. If you slow down the video, you can see like between one frame and the next, Mario just changes expressions there. And then Bowser here. This is the first Bowser fight. There's one more Bowser fight, but this one and the next one both involve a tech called punch canceling. So I'm gonna try to... Bowser is gonna punch the ground, then spawn meteors, then punch the ground again, and then he's gonna punch the ground, spawn meteors, and then he's supposed to punch two more times. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wait for him to start his second punch, and then I'm gonna hit him with the meteor, and that causes him to skip the punch, and now he's just gonna do meteors again. So that actually saves a solid amount of time, and that's possible on the first hit on Bowser on both this one and the final Bowser fight. So you're gonna see that again. And if I had missed that, instead of doing the meteors immediately, he would have punched again, which loses a lot of time. And then here I have to wait for the fire. Something that is especially a risk in this level, because in this level he shoots 2 meteors instead of 3, is him punching both meteors. If Bowser's punch lands directly on the meteors, they'll just break. They won't create those ones that can hit at him. And so if he punches in the wrong spot, he can just break both meteors, and then I can't hit him, and I have to take an extra phase, which is a massive, huge, writhing time loss. It's really bad. Also, this might hit his shell. Okay, cool. So that was a particular example of why aiming for his like arm is better than aiming for his shell. Because if I had aimed for his torso too much there, it would have bounced off his shell and just missed. Alright, and say goodbye to Bowser. And hello to the next Grand Star. So this run is going about as well as I expected, given it's my first run in like multiple months, but it hasn't had any massive run-killing, run-ending, terrifying, awful mistakes, just a lot of really small ones. Alright. So now we move on to the last level I beat in this game as a kid. I could not do this level when I was young. Yoshi Star Comet, which is a weird level to not be able to do as a kid, but I had a major skill issue. Yoshi Star Comet is another romp level where you have to kill a bunch of enemies, and in this level we're going to use the Rainbow Star. Now the Rainbow Star has its own set of mechanics in this game. You basically kind of have P-speed when you have the Rainbow Star. So when you're running, you slowly build up speed over time, and as you build up that speed, you want to maintain smooth and consistent movement so you don't lose it. If I bump into a wall with the Rainbow Star, I will lose the speed. Oh yeah, this is World 5, but we're not going to do World 5. We kind of clean up, we finish all the cleanup where we can do right now, and then we go do World 5, which is a shame because World 5 sucks, and I would love to get it out of the way earlier, but that's not how this works. So, I'm going to be ideally trying to kind of keep that speed with the Rainbow Star as I kill all the Spinies in this level. And another thing about this level that you want to kind of pay attention to is that if you hit a Spiny and it dies off screen, it doesn't count until you turn the camera back in that direction. So at the end of the level, I might have 29 out of 30 dead Spinies, turn the camera a bunch, and then the last one will just die. It'll just count the last one for no reason. That's because of the way that the Spinies work in this level. So you can see that I start slow, and I'm going to build up the speed, and then if I jump on there correctly, nice, I can keep the speed after jumping off that spring. And then I'm going to try to... oh yeah, another thing, see I bumped into a wall there. Another thing I want to do is collect the next Rainbow Star before the previous one wears out, because otherwise there's an animation associated with it. That one in the corner is annoying. You have to go pretty far out of your way to get it, and then it also is really easy to lose your speed on, like what happened right there. And then I got stuck in the mud pit for a little while there, but I managed to get off a long jump, so I can just hold neutral. Oh, well, that was close. Whatever. It doesn't really matter. Alright, that was again, passable Yoshi Star Comet. The level is a little tricky, so it's nice to get one that at least doesn't involve any major glaring mistakes. I've actually died in that level before, just like falling off the edge in a really embarrassing way. So coming up next is Flip Swap, which is the prime example of the ways in which this game does terrible, funny things with your momentum. So the gimmick of Flip Swap is that it has these platforms which flip back and forth every time you spin, and there's two different colors. Oh, that was close. There's two different colors, one per side, and so they kind of swing back and forth on a hinge. And in the level here, I'm going to be utilizing some really bogus mechanics to hopefully do some pretty cool movement. It's hard to describe, so I'm just gonna hopefully get a good one. I got a perfect Flip Swap one in practice literally like 5 hours ago. So if I don't get a perfect one, I'm gonna be really upset, and I'm gonna delete my speedrun.com account and all my social media, and also delete Eden's Twitch account. So I better get a good one. I'm just kidding, by the way, I'm not gonna do that. Mainly because I can't delete Eden's Twitch account. But yeah, so the flipping platforms give you a lot of momentum, and you can use them to skip huge portions of this level. In the Galaxy speedrunning community, some people call those silly jumps, which I don't know how they got that name, but I wholeheartedly support the name because they are very silly. Speaking of silly, what just happened? Anyway, so yeah, something I forgot to mention about this level is that if you do this wrong, the platforms are slopes, and then the slopes kill you. Slopes in this game are a death sentence. If you touch the slope, it's over. So, yeah, that was good enough. I didn't die, which is nice. If you die in that level, it is very hard to recover from because the cycles are off, and then also it just messes up your psyche in a way that no other level does. And sometimes you die and it's totally not your fault, so that's cool. Anyway, coming up next is Fiery Flotilla Comet. If you remember from the beginning of the run, I fought Gobblegut, the boss in this level, and I had to do some tricky shenanigans to fight it. Well, this level is just the Gobblegut boss fight, but you're on a timer, but the timer is really easy because we're speedrunners. So this level is basically just do Gobblegut, quick kill again. So if you did it right the first time, you can be really nervous about failing it again 2 hours into the run. I didn't do it perfectly the first time, so hopefully I get a perfect second attempt, because that would be really cool. If I don't, then I guess it's just over for me. So yeah, the timer is meant to be a lot more difficult, but fortunately, even if you mess this level up pretty bad, it's not gonna impact your ability to make it in time. They were very generous. Weird camera. Good first phase. Let's see if I can get the second phase, which is, like I mentioned earlier, much harder than the first one. Oh, that was barely too far away. Okay. Now I have to figure out how to back this up, which is going to be its own challenge. Hopefully I can get the thing here. Okay, nice. So I messed that up. I also messed up the previous Gobblegut fight. I messed them both up in different ways, but I did get... If you put both of them together, you get one perfect Gobblegut fight. So, sure. Good enough. that, like I said, the second phase is a lot harder, so I'm actually not surprised I messed it up. But you know what? It's still okay. Alright. So next is Boulder Bowl L. This is Boulder Bowl L, we call it because you get a letter from a Guillermo who's like, hey, I'm in Boulder Bowl Galaxy, and I need your help. And then you go and you help the dude, and they give you a star. This level is another example of you can just skip the whole thing by doing some really easy movement. In the first visit to Boulder Bowl, I skipped the whole level by doing this jump with the rock mushroom, and this is even easier to do. You don't even need the rock mushroom in this level, basically at all. So I'm gonna not use it at all in this first planet. In the first visit, I needed it to get the Comet Medal, but in this visit, I do not need it. So I'm just gonna go over here, and then turn the camera to get it unstuck from behind the bridge, and jump off this ramp, and I can get to the second planet, and then inside this stone right here is a Goomba, and I want to get the Goomba over to the Guillermo over here, because if I do that, they asked me to bring them a Goomba, so I can get the Goomba into this little pen right here. And then there is a very small chance that the game will soft lock for no reason when you lure the Goomba into the pen. Nobody knows why it happens. Nobody knows nobody knows how to prevent it. It's just completely random, and it is, I believe, a frame perfect. So you have to trigger it on a specific frame. So it's like a 1 frame window to soft lock the game, but no one knows exactly why the soft lock happens, so nobody knows how to prevent it. So if you soft lock the game later, you just lose like 2 minutes, because the game auto saves after every level, so you just have to do that level again, but it's still a lot of time loss. So it's a good thing that didn't happen. It has never happened to me, so this would be a poor time for it to happen to me. So I'm glad it didn't. But that's always in the back of your mind whenever you're doing runs, and it's 2 hours in, the level's 2 hours in, so if you soft lock, it's just 2 hours of your day that you kiss goodbye. Alright, so this level is Space Storm 1. This is an extremely cycle-based level. You can see by the moving platforms on this circular planet that the level is obviously extremely cycle-based. So I'm gonna be doing some kind of suspicious pull star movement, and then I'm gonna try to make the cycle on this planet where I use a boosted jump off this platform, and then barely squeak in here. Nice! I got the backup. I missed that just barely, but I was able to get a little... What is happening right now? Okay, this should make it. Nice, okay. That was, like, the most wrong that can go, while still not losing me, like, not messing up the cycle. That was pretty good. Here, I need to lure this Bob-omb, and then I'm gonna go into first person and look up, because explosions in the Galaxy games are ridiculously laggy, and that is a lag reduction. It actually saves, like, a few frames to look up there. And then I'm going to do this really suboptimal long jump line so I can get the checkpoint on this planet, because the planet's garbage and sometimes you die for no reason. And then you can actually, in this game, something that, it says A on the cursor, like you're supposed to press A to grab the pull stars, but you can do pull stars with B, which is really useful because B is also the button that shoots out star bits. Because I need to shoot out all my star bits, I can do all the pull stars with B here to multitask getting to the end of the level and also getting rid of all my star bits. Alright, Space Storm 2 is very similar to Starshine Beach 2. It's another level that's like 30 seconds long and contains an extremely it's an extremely cycle dependent level. So this level is another one where I pretty much have to make the perfect cycle, otherwise backing it up is like straight up impossible. So we're gonna hope that that happens. It's not too difficult to do. It's pretty lenient to actually make the cycle, But the problem is just that the game can sometimes tell you no. Sometimes it just doesn't really like the way you decide to do it. So we're gonna hope that this works. So the kind of gimmick of this level is everything's moving in fast motion, and you're supposed to hit these blue switches to slow down time. But this is a speedrun, so we like things that go fast. So we're not going to slow down time at all. And also, as is kind of a theme, you can skip the entire level by just going on this thing and jumping all the way up. And then I'm going to try to use this rising thwomp to boost me into the air, and then do this kind of sketchy long jump, and then... Oh, that's a shame. Okay, back up? Nope. Back up number 3? Cool. Whatever. So what I was trying to do there was I was trying to get a triple jump into the star, which I failed, but that's okay because I still made the cycle. Failing that loses like an order of magnitude less time than failing the cycle does, so it's whatever. Next is another meeting with our friend the Chimp. We get to do another skating challenge. Shiverburn Secret is another skating level where you kill the enemies while skating. And this level is another really easy minigame level, excuse me, because the skating minigame wasn't hard the first time I did it, and it's still not hard the second time. In fact, it's the same skating minigame, you just have to earn 600 points instead of 500. It's like Super Mario Odyssey levels of reusing content, except this time they put it in a different level. If this were Mario Odyssey, you would be able to talk to the Chimp again and do the skating minigame again. And in fact, it would probably be 2 stars per skating minigame because that's how Mario Odyssey is. But this game isn't Mario Odyssey, so we don't need to talk about that. Anyway, yeah, so you're meant to get 600 points. It's the same patterns. Again, the rotation is different every time, depending on the exact position of Mario, but it's the same pattern, so it's really easy. You don't even really need to memorize this, but you kind of start to remember it after you've done it a bunch of times. I don't really memorize it in terms of like trying to manipulate how the patterns spawn. I just have it memorized in terms of like I vaguely know what's coming up, which helps me remember. And there's always, the gold ones are always the same. So you might think from looking at that the gold ones spawn randomly instead of a green one sometimes, but the gold ones always spawn. So it kind of looks like you're not going to have enough, but then like 4 gold ones spawn all right next to each other. So it's really easy to get. You get like hundreds of free points from those. So the only way you can really fail that is if you hit the spiky ones a bunch of times, which you know vaguely where they're going to show up if you've done it before at all. So it's pretty easy. All right, Shiverburn 1. This level is contrary to the level we just did. This level is actually really technical, and it's really. It's not hard, but it's like pretty punishing if you mess up. This level also has a number of large skips in it. We're going to be doing a lot of stuff in a lot of unintended ways. So first things first, I'm going to try to get a little boost off this platform. Okay, I didn't get it, that's fine. And then I'm going to grab this cloud flower and use it to skip the first planet here by going back this direction. Now this long jump sequence, to actually make it to the planet here, you need to really optimally cloud cancel your jumps and get good momentum off the clouds, which is easier said than done. That took me a long time to get good at. I remember the first time I learned that trick, I sat there for like 2 hours trying to figure out how to do it consistently. But once it clicked, I was able to, I had more confidence in what I was doing. And then here I'm going to try to skip killing these enemies by just long jumping and doing a lava boost to land on these ice platforms, and I turned the camera there to manipulate the cycle so that those ice platforms would be there because they kind of alternate between being there and disappearing. Alright, this is the boss fight against Prince Picante. There's a boss in the first Galaxy game called King Caliente, and I'm assuming he's also like an octopus guy, so I'm assuming it's like the same species or whatever. That's a coconut that you need to hit back at him. I'm intentionally skipping it because there are two ways to do this boss fight. You can do the strat I'm doing, which is consistently beats the boss, or you can do a strat that has a random chance to be faster and a random chance to be slower than the strat I'm doing. So you can either consistently get an average time or occasionally get a fast time and occasionally get a really slow time. Unfortunately, something really weird happened there and I missed the coconut. So this is the kind of like, this is the attack that makes the fast strat fast. If you jump up at him while he's firing the coconuts and you happen to hit a coconut as it's coming out of his mouth, you can skip the cycle. But if you don't get good RNG with when he fires the coconuts, it's not faster to do that. It's faster to do it the way I did it. So unfortunately I missed a hit, but that's okay. Alright, Boo Moon 1 here. This is another level where you skip the entire intended puzzle. Basically, this level involves a lot of snake blocks, which I think those were introduced in the 2D Mario games, actually. There's a lot of snake blocks in this level, and we're going to be skipping most of them by doing some cool jumps. Shoutouts to Slip Sand, by the way. A level that we do not do in any percent because it's awful. One of the worst levels in the 100% speedrun. Really, really, really terrible level that is really unfun to do and would be in World 5 if you did it, if you were doing a 242 star run. So thankfully, we don't have to do that. Silver linings, am I right? Alright, this first planet is circular, which makes speed work weird. So it's actually faster to... It's faster to, like, walk for most of it. And it's weird. Doing fast long jumps there is weird. That landing, you can cancel the landing animation if you get a frame-perfect input. So you can save half a second with a frame-perfect input there, which is cool. And then here I'm going to try to jump off of this, land on this other snake block, land on this thing, which causes the gravity to switch, go back onto here, and then right as the gravity changes, I'm going to jump off the snake block, and then land back on it and skip the entire section there. That is a big time save, and it's actually one of the more challenging skips to do in the run. So it's nice to get that first try. And then here in this final section I just need to collect 5 silver stars, which involves using this pop-up book-style platforming section, which I actually think is really cool and creative. And ideally I want to grab the star before the pop-up thing starts popping back down. So if I grab the star, there we go. So I got to the star pretty fast, so it was like just barely starting to fall before I got back to the star. But yeah, so if you're a little slow there, the books will start collapsing back into the ground before you actually land on the star. Alright, now we're doing Boo Moon's Secret. This is literally like the same level, but instead of doing the skip that I did in the first level, I'm going to be doing a different strat. And this level actually still has a fast strat in it, and the fast strat is actually easier than the intended way, at least in my opinion. So if you want to, if you're interested in speedrunning this game, this is always something that I kind of recommend people give a shot to see if it's something that they find enjoyable. That's another level where it's really important for me to select the first star in the star select screen, because that empty star, if I selected it, it's another really long level. Similar to the last time I had to deal with that. Alright, that squeezing between those boos in the corners is actually, like, not faster because of exactly what just happened to me right there. But I did it because I wasn't paying attention. Friendly reminder to always pay attention during your speedruns. Oh yeah, also, this jump is low-key actually really tight, but it's really easy to hit the checkpoint, so if you miss it, you die, but you respawn at the checkpoint, so it's, like, not that big of a deal. You don't have to go and do the whole beginning of the level again. Okay, so, this time, instead of going back, I'm gonna do this level the normal way. And so there's a launch star here that is the same launch star I jumped into earlier. Oh yeah, by the way, this is one of the only levels in the run where you get the Comet Medal in the secret mission instead of the normal mission. Just because it's right there. And you're meant to follow this snake block around for ages, but you can just jump right into the star. So that is way easier than the intended way of getting that star. Jumping into that star, actually, it's a lot faster, and it's from a casual perspective, I actually think it's easier. So, that's a good, like, baby's first Galaxy 2 speedrunning trick. Because it's not too difficult, and it's a big time saver. Alright, Upside Dizzy. This galaxy is very similar to Right Side Down, which is in World 1. It also uses these gravity walls, which change Mario's gravity when he moves in front of them. However, Upside Dizzy is a lot more cycle-based than Right Side Down. Right Side Down is a lot more pure platforming, and this level is very cycle-based, because the walls actually change. So we're going to try to make our way through this level with minimal cycle interference, which is always challenging to do. I want to get that backflip off that question block is actually pretty difficult. You have to, like, turn around in a specific way or you won't get enough distance and you'll just, like, fall short and miss it. And then these things can be a little suspicious. And then I want to, ideally... let's see if I can't manage to get it anyway. Nice! Bounce off that Goomba and get into the pipe. And then this whole ending section is on a giant cycle. So I'm going to try to make my way through here with the changing gravity. That's a weird bonk. Alright, let's see if I can't manage to figure out how to do this. Getting shocked there and then missing the long jump. I'm gonna just wait here. So, shoutouts to Maurice. I got Maurice. That thing has a giant hitbox. That thing has the biggest hitbox in the history of enemy hitboxes in any video game. That's Maurice. We don't like him. Nobody likes Maurice. That's unfortunate that I didn't get a good cycle in that ending section, because I actually think that ending section is really cool if you get a good execution of the cycle, but it's okay. And just like in Right Side Down, the secret level in Upside Dizzy is a crate burning minigame with a fire flower, except this time there's a lot more crates. So this is another level I absolutely could not beat as a kid, because I didn't know the secret sauce. The secret sauce is something you don't do in a speedrun because it's not fast, but in a casual playthrough, if you're having trouble with this level, you can just go down to the front and throw fireballs up to hit all the boxes, but I'm going to be trying to do a slightly more advanced route. Saves a little bit of time over doing that. So here I'm going to be... I have to contend first with the actual challenge of this level, which is getting into this pipe. If I do a good spin timing, I can bounce off that Goomba and land in the pipe. And then I need to do a kind of obnoxious triple jump here. And you can make it into this pipe, only breaking that bottom box and getting into the pipe before the top box lands on it. But good luck with that, it's not easy. So here I'm going to try to stay in the middle instead of going down to the bottom. And I'm going to try to burn all these crates at once here. Oh, that's not good. Okay. I think we're good. Nice. 7. Okay, 7's good. I think 7 is actually the best I can do that. I don't know if I've ever gotten an 8, but I know I've gotten a lot of 6s. So 7 is good. 7 means I did it pretty fast. Alright, Shiverburn Comet is another fast level that involves killing enemies. So just like Yoshi Star Comet, this level is done with the Rainbow Star. You are meant to skate with the Rainbow Star on an icy rink to kill a bunch of Octoombas. However, this level has a little bit of an exploit where if you kind of do a little bit of a specific sequence of inputs with the Rainbow Star, you can actually start running normally, which allows you to run a lot faster than you're supposed to be able to, which saves a good chunk of time in this level. So I'm gonna... Oh, hello. World map movement is hard, man. I'm gonna kind of do some maybe slightly weird-looking movement here that's gonna be important for making sure I'm running instead of skating. And so, ideally, if I do this just right, I will be able to do the whole star extremely quickly. And the timer isn't really a threat, it's more about the pink dudes, which kind of run away from you, which means that if you're not a TAS, their position is going to be a little bit different every time. So there we go, nice. So now I'm running, which is not the intended way to do this. So I'm trying to kill all of these and also get rid of all my star bits, because if you recall from earlier, that does actually lose a little bit of time to have the star bits with you at the end of the level. And if I do this just right, I can... I wasn't in exactly the right spot. If you're in the right spot, you can jump into the star and grab it as it spawns, which is nice. Or be in the right spot before the star spawns so you can grab it instantly. Alright, coming up next is my least favorite level in the whole run. This is Bowser Jr.'s Boom Bunker. This is another Bowser Jr. level, and the gimmick with this level is cannons. And cannons are, you go into the cannon and then you fire out by pointing where you want to go with the cursor. It's basically like the cannons in Mario 64, except instead of being controlled by the analog stick, they're controlled by the pointing the Wiimote at the screen. I have a hand tremor, which means my hands shake all the time, and it means that I literally cannot do like the fastest strats in this level because they're too... I can't hold the cursor still enough to shoot the cannons precisely. Which also means that there's a chance that my hand will just twitch and I'll fire the cannon off into the middle of nowhere and die. And it's very frustrating. And especially because it's so far into the run, it's really obnoxious, especially when I'm nervous to do this level on any kind of pace, let alone a good pace. Alright, so now we have to wait for this bullet bill. Where's the bullet bill? It disappeared. That's awesome. I don't know why that happened, but okay. It's fine. Surely it will be okay. And this is the part where not being able to aim the cannon shots precisely has the biggest consequence. I lose a few seconds to having to do this level suboptimally because I just can't do the fastest way and not, like, my hands aren't steady enough for it. And here I'm going to try to shoot these mines with starbits so that they break, so that the cycles of the mines aren't a big deal when I'm doing this shot, which is total garbage. This one sometimes just literally doesn't work for no reason. I actually thought that was going to fail, but it actually ended up working, which is cool. And then I need to jump with a very specific timing off that platform to get momentum. So I get, oh, hi, don't die, thank you. Okay. I need to jump with a very specific timing off that platform to get the momentum. You're supposed to use the Cloudflower there, but skipping it is slightly faster because you skip the animation of the Cloudflower equipping onto Mario. So, anyway, this is the boss, Bowser Jr.'s Boomsday Machine. This boss fight has an absolute garbage tier, awful task strat that people go for in runs for some reason that saves like no time and is terrible. But because I'm not insane, this is mostly just about cycles and good cloud platforming. So I'm going to try to... there's kind of a natural pause, so I'm going to time it out by going to the next Cloudflower over here instead of the closest one. The natural cause being that when Bowser Jr. is doing that electricity attack, the dome on top's electrocuted, so you can't hit him. And then the machine comes out of the ground, and it starts moving around. So if you mess up on this phase, it's so over. You just get owned because it's really difficult to figure out where you're going. And there's also lag, and lag plus cloud. Trying to do optimal cloud movement is quite the ask. But thankfully that boss fight actually went pretty well. And that was a... You know what? That boom bunker was definitely serviceable. I've lost way more time in that level than I lost there. Even having missed the Bull Bill, I've lost minutes in that level in like singular runs. So that's nice to get out of there. And now we get to World 6. World 6 is the last 40 or so minutes of the run, and it is by far the most challenging but also most fun part of the run. If I play World 6 very well, I can get a sub 40, which means that if I play World 6 very well, I can get a sub 310 time in this run. And if I don't get a good World 6, if I get like a mediocre one, I'll probably get like a 310, like a high 310. But World 6 is really the test. Like, this is the hard part. And when I say World 6, just for clarification, I'm talking about World 6 and then also the cleanup immediately after World 6 before the final level. So it's the best part about this run is how truly not over it is until you finish the game. You have to really lock in for the last 40 minutes or so, otherwise you're not getting anywhere. Alright, starting off with probably my least favorite level in this whole section of the run, Melty Monster 1. This level is like a combination of janky and not particularly fun movement, which makes it pretty annoying to do on like decent quality runs. So these pull stars have a penchant for just like really being awful, and the fling into the launch star can also be a little suspicious. Here I want to ideally get the life mushroom and use it to do a little bit of a lava boost strat. So I'm actually gonna take 2 points of damage first and then let go of the life mushroom, because that lets me get extra damage boost, which lets me keep the life mushroom. I should have grabbed that checkpoint. That's okay. Doesn't really matter. And so now, because I have this extra health, I can use it to tank some damage in the next section, which this section is like, if you're doing like damageless Super Mario Galaxy 2, this section instills nightmares in everybody. First is this long jump, which is pretty cool. I mistimed it somehow and got hit, which is a little annoying, but that's okay. These tiny spherical planets just have the absolute worst collision of all time. They love to just throw you in totally random directions. And then I'm going to walk around to the right side of this crystal, because if you're on the left side, it doesn't like to hit it. Okay, sure. You know what? That is good enough. I didn't get completely owned, but unfortunately, I think the dream of a good World 6 is pretty dead. Alright, Melty Monster 2 is... So we went from my least favorite level in the run to the most punishing level in the run by far. This level is brutal. You can die at the very end of this level in a way that is completely out of your control and lose over a minute. And it's like totally... There's nothing you can do. So we're just gonna hope that doesn't happen. Like, it's just luck whether or not you get through this level without dying. There is skill involved, but ultimately you will never have a 100% consistency rate with this level, because the luck is too... it is too much of an impact. This entire level is a giant rock mushroom bowling level where you roll down this whole thing, this whole like giant obstacle course with a rock mushroom. And normally you can break out of the rock mushroom, but this level has a trigger that prevents you from doing that. And you can't skip the trigger unless you're a TAS. So, and it's also now faster, even if you could. So, yeah, this level is just a giant rock mushroom rolling section, and it is really hard. Like, even if you execute, even if you don't get unlucky, it's still really hard. So, I'm shaking when I jump because that saves a very small amount of time, and I'm intentionally avoiding these crystals because every time you break one, it causes like 1 frame of lag. So I want to avoid the crystals as much as I can. It is like actually worth it to go out of your way, like turn and go around them. So this is what I talked about being unlucky. Sometimes those fences bounce you 90 degrees to the side and off the level. There is nothing you can do about that. It is totally out of your control. It's not common, but it happens, and when it happens, you die. It's just over. So, and then you have to roll down the whole thing again with the rock mushroom. And as you can tell, it's very slow if that happens to you. Alright, Bounty Monster Secret is another level featuring the chimp, except instead of asking us to skate around hitting spiky things, he's asking us to roll down bowling alleys with the rock mushroom. Now, the game shows the secret star as being in the first level, but it's actually in the second level, and the pipe is closer in the second level, so it's faster to do it in the second level. Also, if you leave the pipe again, the background stays, so that it'll be the normal level with this weird, like, psychedelic, colorful background, which looks kind of cool. So, here you need 5,000 points in the bowling challenge. You really want to hit the pins, like, as many as you can. It is pretty tight. This is, like, probably the most failable minigame in terms of, like, actually doing it in a run. So, normally I would wait for a cycle here, but because I've hit every pin up until now, I'm actually not going to wait. I'm just going to go and skip those 3 pins and hope I have enough, because it's almost certain that I will. Are you joking? That is sad. That is sad and also pretty unlucky, because those last pins, it's very easy to get enough. So I guess I can show the normal strat that I do, which is to wait for those 3 pins to get around to the other side of the platform. Alright, so you can also, in this level, utilize the funny ramp tech, which is that these ramps, like, launch you and take you out of the rock mushroom, but if you jump and spin onto them, they don't launch you. So you can jump and spin, time your jump across the gap, and then they won't oh, come on. I don't have enough points to reliably get enough. You can jump and spin across the gaps. It time jumps across the gaps, and it lets you skip the animations of curling up into the rock mushroom every time, but it's really hard, so that is something that is reserved for very, very high-level runners of this category. Alright. Lost a minute, that's cool. Remember when I said World 6 was punishing? That's what I mean. That is a really, really punishing star. So, now moving on to Flash Black 1. This is a really fun level. I actually really, really enjoy this level. This is a level that is based around Yoshi movement and kind of interesting platforming. And as you can see, I've been kind of collecting star bits here and there to make sure I have enough, but I do have enough. So this is like a huge time sink. This is like the big... This is where the big time loss... this is the big time save of using the Bank Toad. Is 1800 Starbits takes forever to collect, but the level you skip by doing Flash Black is really long. So you save a lot of time not having to collect all those Starbits. Alright, so this level has some cool movement, and also kind of an interesting gimmick. Basically, it's like the level is a dark nighttime level that's happening during like a thunderstorm. So every so often the lightning flashes, and when the lightning flashes, you're able to see the level. But because I'm a speedrunner and I've played this game before, I can actually do a lot of the platforming without being able to see the level, which has a really satisfying feel to it. It's kind of cool to be able to do this platforming without being able to see the level. So Yoshi here, again, we're using the Blimp Fruit. I'm going to try to do the same thing I did in Tall Trunk, to bounce off these Goombas as I'm passing through them. Nice, that's the first one. And there's another one that I can get here. I missed it. That second one is less consistent for some reason. So here I'm going to jump off of Yoshi, grab the Comet Medal, jump back on Yoshi. Yoshi turns around, and then I can jump off of him again and get into the launch star. That's a really cool little sequence of movement there. Based on the fact that when you dismount, Yoshi turns to face Mario. That is not good. I accidentally turned the camera there, and because I did, the cycle for this ending section is going to be off a little bit, which means this platform will be in a different place than what I'm used to it being. Fortunately, it didn't cause any problems for me there. So yeah, that ending section is scary if you're not confident with your movement, because you can't see the platforms all the time. But when you can, you feel like super good at the game because you can like get around the platforms. Also, shoutouts to the enemy flying around Mario's head while he's collecting the star. Alright, Slimy Spring 1 is the only level for the rest of the run that's calm and not really challenging. This level is basically a break in the middle of this hard section, just to kind of relax and get your bearings. It's basically an auto-scroller. It's just a big, long swimming level. The only reason it's even done is because it blocks your path. You have to do it to unlock the way forward. So this level is like very... A lot of people find this level boring. I actually really like this level. It has one of my favorite aesthetics in all of the Mario Galaxy games levels. And I actually find the swimming to be decently engaging enough that I don't get bored during it. Slope jump here. Nice. I jump off the slope right as I touch it to get a little bit of extra speed. Bonk there. That's cool. And if this were Galaxy 1, this level would be terrible because you'd have to absolutely destroy your arm shaking, but because this is Galaxy 2, you just grab a shell and go. And so this is kind of like the reason a lot of people don't like this level is because it's mostly just like subtle shell driving, but it's fun. I like this level. Something I used to forget to do when I was new to running this game was grab that Comet Medal. And if you miss any Comet Medal in this run, it's just over. Like, you can't. There's no backups. The best backup if you miss the Comet Medal is like the reset button. There's like no backup for it. There are a couple levels in this run that you don't get the Comet Medals from because they're too far out of the way. But if you're supposed to get a Comet Medal in a level, you need to get it. Otherwise, it's over. So, I actually lost a little bit of time to bonking with the shell, which you might not have noticed unless you're like really observant. But yeah, that arrow has weirdly misaligned starbits. Anyway, I threw the shell. I did not spin after picking it up, so I'm kind of surprised. I think I got a buffered spin, which is like not a thing that you do on purpose, really. But anyway, there's these booster things that make this part of the level pretty fun to do. And the boos die. The shell has a light coming out of it, like a headlamp basically, and the boos die if you point it at them. So as long as you're moving straight towards the boo, you won't get hit by it. And here is a very risky shell toss to break this chest open. Thankfully, it like skims along the ground in that very particular way. Alright, so here I've set up a position-based trick. If you talk to Captain Toad here from the correct location, you can backflip, and Captain Toad will push you into the star. Nice! So that's a really cool strat. That's one of my favorite strats in, honestly, the entire game, and I love doing it. And it looks kind of cool when you do it, and it actually saves time. So it's nice to do that. Alright, Clockwork Ruins Secret. This level is brutally cycle-based and involves collecting a bunch of coins as fast as possible to access the Secret Star. Clockwork Ruins is an example of a galaxy where we do the Secret Star, but not the normal star in any percent. Clockwork Ruins' normal mission is incredibly slow. It takes forever to do. It's one of the longest stars in the game. The Secret Star is nice and quick. It's not too long. And so we're going to do the Secret Star and just not do the normal star. And something that is a grace of God by the developers is that you can still unlock the next galaxy on the world map, even if you don't do the normal star. So I'm going to do the Secret Star. It will unlock a galaxy with 2 quick stars in it, and actually 3 quick stars in it, and I won't have to worry about doing an extremely long and challenging level. Even in the 100% run where you play as Luigi, this level is still really bad. The normal level is still really bad. So, okay. And I'm going to go into first person here to manipulate some of the cycles later on in the level. And then I'm going to try to grab these coins. So I need 30 coins, and there's a question mark block that gives me 10. So I ideally want 19. 18's fine, I can take 18. And then I get the 10 from here. And then this wheel has a couple that I can grab, one there and one there. Oh, come on. Let me try to... There we go. Okay. So, talk to Voluma. And this final section is another section where you're meant to use the time slowdown switches. You're meant to use the switches to slow down time on these hammers. But you don't need to do that, and you also don't need to do this entire section because you can wall jump off that wall. There's like 4 ways to skip that entire section, and it's super nice that you can, because curved, moving, thin platforms are like very annoying to do optimal movement on. So if you had to like go the normal way in that level, it would be pretty annoying. Alright, so this next galaxy is a very subtle reference to a previous Mario game. If you pay pretty close attention, you might be able to figure out what it's a reference to. Obviously, I'm just kidding. This is Whomp's Fortress from Mario 64, and we're gonna fight King Whomp. It's Mario 64. So this first level in the Throwback Galaxy actually has some extremely technical and challenging movement that I'm really bad at for some reason. So we're gonna hope that I don't mess this up, because it looks really cool if I do get it, and if I don't get it, it's really hard to back it up. So you can see the Comet Medal is there. It's in the same spot as one of the Power Stars is in the original Mario 64. So I have to go and grab that before I can go to the top of the fortress to fight King Whomp. So I'm going to do the same thing they do in 64, do a side flip there. And then I'm going to do a very particular camera setup, and... Okay, I missed it, but that's the strat. You do a wall jump off of 2 perpendicular walls, which is not normally supposed to be a thing you can do, but if you have a specific angle there, you can make that work. And then, there, I killed King Whomp. It's over, right? Yeah, not exactly. They decided to make... They decided to make King Whomp a little more intimidating in this game. He's a lot bigger for some reason. So, the big thing with this boss fight is that it tries very hard to stun you. So King Womp's slams and this attack right here, they stun you and prevent you from moving. And I'm also trying to make it so that he moves as little as possible in between the phases. So I'm landing in front of him here so he doesn't have to turn. And then these little enemies he spawns, the Thwimps, he immediately kills all of them so that they like literally never hit you. I don't know why, but for whatever reason, even in like playing this game casually, those things just never hit you because King Womp immediately kills them. So that's the boss fight. Not too hard, but pretty interesting fight. Alright, so now moving on to Throwback 2. This level is totally different. It's a platforming level where you're meant to collect silver stars that are scattered around the fortress. Now, this level, in a pretty interesting usage of old and new mechanics, they actually give you the Cloud Flower in this level, which is super nice because you can use it to get around really easily. So there's some pretty interesting cloud-related and just general movement tech in this level. Whoa, hi. Yeah, that's a bit of a weird movement. By the way, there's like 4 different ways to move from the bottom to the top of Starship Mario, and they're all like within a few frames of each other. I think the way I do it is technically the fastest, but it's not. It doesn't really matter. Alright, so again, very movement-based, very cycle-based beginning here. I'm going to try to do some camera shenanigans, and also a pretty cool piece of movement. I'm jump and bounce off this Bob-omb buddy, which is a nice way to make the spacing of that jump work out. And then this should be retracting right as I get to it. Nice. And then I'm going to try to use Void Speed here, where I make a cloud over the edge to get all the way over here. If you get good speed, you can make it all the way to this silver star. I missed that long jump. Okay, that's fine. And then I'm going to try to do a nice little strat here. I'm going to triple jump off these boxes, make a cloud, and then do a cloud boosted jump over to here, which lets me do another boosted jump over to here, and then I can, ideally, if I get enough height off of this, I can spin to grab this last silver star, and then I'm going to ground pound, which breaks the cloud and lets me land right on top of the star. Nice. There we go. Alright, so Gravity Gauntlet Comet. So in the first time I went through Gravity Gauntlet, I skipped the whole level, and in this level I'm going to do that again, except I don't have to get the Comet Medal this time, so I'm going to do it in a different way and from a different spot. So the first thing is actually some interesting routing stuff. I'm going to go into World 5 and then go backwards through the portal, because it's faster to do that than it is to go to the beginning of World 4 and go all the way to the level here. So this level, I can skip the entire thing with a lava boost, which is a little finicky. Sometimes it causes problems, but I got it multiple times in a row in practice, so ideally it shouldn't cause any problems. This is a speedrun level, and the timer is actually pretty tight because you're meant to collect these clocks, which give you additional time, but because I'm skipping so much of the level, I'm also skipping a lot of the clocks, and a lot of them are really far out of the way, so it's not worth it to go and get them. It's worth it to just like YOLO it and hope that you have enough time. So let's see if I can get this here. So if you lava boost off of if you lava boost, you get speed in the direction perpendicular to the lava. So if I lava boost off a vertical wall, I can get a bunch of horizontal speed. That trick is a lot harder than it looks. If you don't change angles properly, you'll either fly too far and fall off, or you won't fly far enough and you'll get you'll fall for too long, and the game will think you've fallen into a pit, and you'll fall through the platform and die. So that was a decent Gravity Gauntlet Comet. A little messy, but I didn't die, so that's the good thing. Alright, Starshine Beach Comet is another extremely fast and fast-paced level. This is another purple coin level where you use, and in the first mission of Starshine Beach, I utilized the fact that Yoshi can dash over water when he has the dash pepper. Well, in Starshine Beach Comet, I'm actually going to be doing something very similar. I'm going to be dashing over the water with the dash pepper in order to collect the purple coins in this level. So this level is very movement intensive, and it's also another thing that's based heavily on Yoshi's hitbox, because I really need him to grab all of the purple coins, as many as possible, so I can skip some stuff later. So I'm going to go ahead and try to focus up a little bit for this star, because this is a star where very like niche control over the joystick has a very specific impact. And Yoshi is real sensitive when you have the dash pepper. He really likes to uh-oh, that's not good. Okay, so you can take a line to skip like half the coins as long as you have enough. So I do have enough. 99. Cringe. And this section is like, it's like literally impossible to jump into the star. So I'm actually gonna dismount Yoshi and then just jump in the star with Mario. Normally that works a little better. That's kind of cringe. That was an okay execution of that level, but only because it's so short. If I messed up with that frequency in a normal level, it would be really bad, but that didn't lose me that much time. Okay, so coming up next is Haunty Hall's Comet. This level is super similar to Haunty Halls 2. It's basically just the same level, but with Cosmic Clones, and Cosmic Clones are pretty much a joke as long as you keep moving. So this level is, again, it's just like Haunty Halls 2 in that it's based on maintaining a one smooth, continuous chain of long jumps throughout the whole level. So I'm going to be trying very hard to kind of continuously long jump throughout this whole level. And it's actually really nice and short. It cuts out like half of the platforming you would normally have to do in Haunty Halls 2. So you just spawn in and there isn't even a cutscene for the Cosmic Clones. It's super nice. So really, I love how short this level is. It's actually makes it pretty fun to do. So again, this smooth chains of long jumps aren't as easy as they look, but this level is pretty easy. As long as you don't mess up depth perception and bonk and fall off the edge and die on PB pace. Yeah. Okay, so the next level is Beat Block Comet. This is probably the hardest level in this section of the run, in like the World 6/ cleanup section of the run. And it's not a good level to be hard, because it's one of the last levels in the game. In the speedrun, at least. This level is an extremely difficult cycle-based platforming level. Basically, the gimmick is it has the same beat blocks as the first level, but the level, which is called Silver Stars in Double Time, has it so the blocks are moving twice as fast. Nope, just kidding! The game lies to you. It says double time. They're actually 4 times as fast. So they change a lot faster back and forth between yellow and green, which means if you get off cycle, it's over. You lose so much time, even if you don't die, and it's really easy to die. So for whatever reason in this level, they also give you Yoshi. So I'm going to use Yoshi to skip like half of it by just infinite fluttering over it. But when I get to the end, I want to actually dismount off of Yoshi and do this section normally with Mario because it's a lot faster. So I'm going to try to up. Okay. I have to wait a little bit on this cycle. But if I get a good long jump angle on these last 3, I can make it to this one. And I made it to that Silver Star before the blocks changed from yellow to green, which means I did that last little bit of movement especially quick. Okay, that's fine. That was, like, slightly weird. I almost got thrown off a little bit, but I've lost 40 plus seconds in that level just dying because it's so hard to get your cycle back. And sometimes the blocks appear and you bonk on them and die, and it's really bad. Alright, only 3 more stars. And unfortunately, the last 3, we start off with a pretty boring one. Throwback Comet is literally just Throwback 2 again. It's a speedrun level. Speedrun being a generous word because you don't have to speed very much. But the level is the strats and the route are exactly the same. Sometimes in speedrun levels they actually, or the Prankster Comets, they actually change the level a little bit. But in this level, the silver stars are exactly the same. The movement's exactly the same. The only thing that's different is the very beginning, because the cycle is slightly different. So I'm actually going to be using a different camera angle this time than I used in the last level. But other than that, it's like literally the same. Go over that bump. If you do the right cycle, you can barely squeeze in front of him, but I unfortunately kind of had bad long jump angles there. Let's see if I can get good speed on this. Nice, so you can see there, I made it easily all the way over to that silver star. I didn't even need to spin, but I still spun anyway. I was accepting my death there. I can't believe I survived that jump. That long jump that slipped through the fence. I can't believe I survived that. That was crazy. I was like positive I was dead. And there we go. So again, I'm going to try to time a ground pound through this cloud to land me right on top of the star. I didn't hit the Z button, or some people call it the Z button, quickly enough, so I landed in the cloud. That's okay. Alright, final level before the last Bowser stage is Flash Black Comet. This level is the bane of my existence because I cannot aim the cursors accurately. This level is very multitasking oriented. It's very contingent on, you have to kill a bunch of Octoombas in the dark, and there are 3 main ways I'm going to kill them: bouncing on them, spinning them with the 2-player remote, and shooting starbits at them and then kicking them with Mario. And all 3 of those options require me to have good aim with the cursors, knowledge of Mario's position, control over Mario, and then also focusing on collecting starbits to replenish my supply so that I can actually still pick them. So, cool, good start. So here I'm going to try to land on this one and then collect the coin because I took damage and I don't want to die. It's really easy to get hit in this level, so it's really easy to accidentally die. This level is one where playing the game with 2 people actually is like pretty significantly faster. So for a while actually that's not for a while, it's still true. The best time in this level was achieved by 2 people playing with the 2 different controllers. So that was actually like about as well as that could have gone. Oh yeah, also they give you Yoshi. I'm pretty sure this is the only level where you use Yoshi and don't infinite flutter. And even then, if you... Oh no, Sweet Mystery Comet is the other one. And those levels share the same thing where if you fall off the level, you still infinite flutter, because you infinite flutter back up to save yourself if you die. Alright, and now we get to the final level. This is Bowser's Galaxy Degenerator. This level is very long and challenging. But first, there's a big long cutscene that you have to watch that you can skip by clicking on Bowser's Galaxy Generator with the cursor. So that map node that I passed over by clicking on Galaxy Generator, that triggers a cutscene, and if you click on the level, for whatever reason the cutscene doesn't happen, but if you try to go there by using the stick or whatever, the cutscene does happen. The cutscene's like 40 seconds long, so you save a massive amount of time by just not using the stick to get to the level. And interestingly enough, in 120 Star, if you don't do the cutscene and then you beat the level, the cutscene is also on the other side. So in 120 star, you go from World S back to World 6, and then you have to do that skip in reverse, which we call Purple Idiot Skip. Anyway, using the properties of vertical lava walls, I can skip that entire section by just doing a lava boost off of it. And here I'm gonna be getting through this section. Oh no. Okay, we're good. I got through that section by using damaging myself on purpose to remove the spin drill, because it's a lot faster to just be able to platform through it. And also, the reason I was worried there is because that platform that I landed on has terrible collision on the edges, and if you miss the... Oh, come on! That's okay. That's a really quick death. If you miss the platform, if you land on the very edge, you'll still get hit by the lava, so I was a little afraid that I would get hit there. I'm gonna let the cycle get back to where I am, so I know what I'm doing. And then I'm gonna bounce off this dry bones and use the cloud power-up to ideally make my way up here. Up, okay. And that was a rough cloud section, but that's okay. And finally, the last thing, the last hard thing in the run is the Galaxy Generator Flutter, because they give you Yoshi, so obviously we're going to skip this whole section. And the first thing I need to do is the step 1, which is to get onto this wall. I said the first thing I need to do is step 1, which is to get onto this wall. Okay, what is happening? It's killing my speed, even though I don't know why. Okay, cool. So, this flutter is one of the harder ones in the run. It's right at the end, which is awesome. Let's do it. Uh-oh. Oh, no. Oh, that's weird. I don't exactly know what happened there. Okay. Killed my speed. Let's try it again. That's fine. There's a checkpoint. If there was no checkpoint there, this level would be, like, brutally hard, but there is, so we're good. I don't know why that keeps happening. That's been a rampant problem recently for me that I need to investigate. Alright, I'm gonna try fluttering the other way. No, that didn't work either. Awesome, okay. Change later. What? Nope, okay. Give me speed. Alright, here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna dismount and get back on Yoshi because I think I'm having the same thing as when you mess up. Alright. We're just gonna do this the fun way. So this is the extremely enjoyable experience of infinite fluttering when you don't have proper speed, which is that you get to do this for a really long time. Have I mentioned, by the way, that infinite fluttering is actually kind of difficult to do? If you get good at it, the rhythm is burned into your brain for the rest of your life, but if you aren't good at it, if you're like new to the game, consistently infinite fluttering for long periods of time can actually be really challenging. Wow, that was annoying. Okay. No idea what was going on there. Okay, let's try this again. No, that was not a good attempt. Okay, gotta dismount Yoshi. And Centris when they hit. Nope, I didn't get middle shelf. Okay, so now I get to do the backup, which is cool. I said now I get to do the backup, which is cool. We call that Sigma shelf. So there's three ways you can do. You can land on the bottom, which is bottom shelf. You can land on the top, which is top shelf. You can land on the pole, which is middle shelf. Or you can land on the bottom and then get up that way instead of using the pole, which is sigma shelf. Yeah, so I just lost like 2 minutes to that level for some reason. So this run's like bad now. It was like okay, and now it's bad. It's still underestimate, but it's like really, really bad. Anyway, so Bowser. So this Bowser fight is like marginally more difficult than the one in Gravity Gauntlet, but it's basically the same thing. So this first hit, I'm going to once again be doing a punch cancel, which is where I hit the meteor into Bowser really late to skip his next punching attack. So you're going to see me kind of try to see if I can do that here. So he starts with a punch, and then he does another punch, and then he does meteors, and then he does 2 more punches, but if I can cancel the second punch, I can skip it. So here I'm actually going to damage boost to not take damage from the shockwaves, because it's actually kind of tricky to avoid the shockwaves normally. And then the thing that makes Bowser harder is that he does his next attack a lot faster after he does the meteors in this fight than in the previous Bowser fight. So if you miss a... Oh, come on, that's bogus. Okay, whatever. If you miss a hit like I just did, it takes a lot less time for Bowser to do his next attack. And that was cool, okay. So I have to wait for him to do meteors again. This is actually fine. If I'm gonna like mess up a phase, I would prefer it to be one of the first 2. Because on the third one he adds the fire breath attack, and then that is a ridiculous time loss if you mess it up. So that is good. Also, you can, in addition to being able to cancel the punches, you can absolutely 200% cancel the meteor attacks as well. And if you cancel the meteor attacks, you just like lose a bunch of time for no reason. So that's fun when that happens. Thankfully, in this phase, he breathes fire, which means you lose a lot more time if you miss a cycle, but as long as you are keeping with what you're supposed to be doing, you have a lot of extra time to... Oh, that barely hit him. You have a lot of extra time to get into the right spot. But yeah, this is a pretty abysmal final level, which is unfortunate. But I realized like halfway through the final level that I forgot to practice the final level. So, okay, that's not something that's happened to me before. I am surprised that didn't hit, frankly. I thought that was gonna hit. I'm not even like mad. It's not even like game screwed me over. I just like thought that was gonna hit and it didn't. Anyway, okay, so that's the end. Just kidding. I lied. So this is the part where whenever people are doing streams of this game, they're like, "Oh my god, you got world record. Look, Bowser's dead. There's the Grand Star. It's right there. And then the joke people like to do is, let's hope you don't get the Bowser glitch, where he appears and drags you away into a purple swirly void." Yeah, so Bowser appears and drags you away into a purple swirly void. So, Bowser jump scare. It's not over, but the final phase of the Bowser fight is extremely easy and underwhelming, so we're just gonna go ahead and do that real quick. So you get taken into this thing and you have to shoot like a couple more meteors at him, but it's like chill. There's one. There's not 2 because I messed up the setup, but that's okay. We're gonna get the rest of them, surely. I have to hit him 4 times, so there's 2. There's 3. And the last one should be this one. Cool. Alright, 314. That was Ann Run. This game is very inconsistent, so it was just as possible that I could have gotten a 304 as the possibility that I could have gotten a 314. But frankly, I expected this to go a lot worse. I also lost 3 minutes in the last level. So this was like easy 311 if I didn't mess up the final level, and then I did. So whatever. But, you know, good enough. This is still underestimate, so we're chill. Anyway, time is when I touch the Grand Star, and the cutscene starts. And there's Peach. Look, it's Peach. Oh yeah, also, one more thing. Before I... Actually, no, I'm finishing because I want a 314. I was gonna show off the fact that you can't fall off. There's an underside on the final planet, which a lot of people don't know, so they think you can fall off, but you can't. Anyway, yeah, that was Super Mario Galaxy 200%. I'm done. The next run is nothing. There is no next run. But in like 2 hours from now, I think Eden is doing something, so watch that. Anyway,